All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. I'm sorry I'm late. Literally before going live, the camera was being stupid. I know that's a dog ate my homework excuse, but like 3-4 times this week, the camera's been done. But we are back. We are live. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, folks. We got the S&P 500 that's trying to get to all-time highs on the close, which is, well, I mean, we are basically back to where we were from 2 weeks ago, which is nice to see. 671.94 right here on the S&P 500. And you've got a rebound, not just on the S&P, but Tessie trying to go for 448. The stock was at 418 this morning. Palantir up 3% right now. We got the Karp interview on Fox News that we'll take a look at. Robinhood, 134.87. Big day for Robinhood. You got the S&P 500 again up 0.6% of the day. SoFi is up 4%. Grab got to 570. Google's up 0.5%. AMD up 1.6. Even Amazon breaking 220 on the day at 221. Meta back at 735. I mean, it's been a pretty incredible day. SMCI, a little bit more of an ugly day, down about 9%. And even Ethereum and Bitcoin, not doing too bad. Bitcoin was at 106 this morning. Now back at 110. So you've seen a obvious rebound across the entire market. CoreWeave up 2%, Rocket Lab up 5%, ASTS flat on the day, but not as bad as it was a couple of days ago. Obviously, you've got all the other names in terms of high quality growth, like a CrowdStrike 519, that's up 4% of the day. Coinbase is up 1.4%. So the reason is, why is this happening? The reason is, why is this happening? And we actually have a bunch of different headlines to talk about for why this is happening across the entire board. I think the number one reason is the sellers and the shorts probably got a bit exhausted. It has been a rough 2 weeks of selling across the board, definitely for high-driven momentum stocks. Also, just random names like your average Meta, Apple, Google, right? All the big tech names that got hit. And you're starting to see a little bit of a rebound. Number two is Trump is saying a bunch of stuff that seems relatively bullish. So the first thing he said about an hour ago was that he confirmed the October 30th meeting in person with President Xi. October 30th meeting with President Xi. As a result of that meeting officially being confirmed, that is why you're also seeing some more momentum. The market, as soon as he announced that, started to really like it. And you would imagine the market would like that because, you know, the market enjoys that the negotiations are going well. So that was the first thing. Trump's live right now. He's saying a bunch of things. We'll try to get a bunch of those quotes. One of the quotes he just said was he got a call from NVIDIA's Jensen Huang about San Francisco. I'll get some more context on those quotes in a second, but he is saying a bunch of things right now. One of the number one things is that the China meetings are set to go for October 30th, which is a day after the FOMC meeting and a day before he continues to have meetings with other officials across the world, potentially even Kim Jong-un. So that meeting is going to be very timely next week and very important in terms of seeing what that could actually do. So that's why we have, I think the market's getting some good momentum, and that's going across the entire board. Your Oklos, that is up 4% on the day. So down 30% for the week, up 4% right here. Quantum names have had a pretty interesting morning. So again, these guys were up a lot in the pre-markets. They're not up as much. D-Wave was up 20%. Now it's up 13%. There was a report that came out by Yahoo Finance that said the United States government did not have conversations with these quantum companies. And so that's when they started falling. Then Rigetti gave a quote to CNBC and said, we are having conversations. And they added, by the way, if the U.S. doesn't invest in us, then someone else will. And the U.S. is going to be left behind, which is not a good thing. And then you had Bloomberg report 20 minutes ago. This was the quote by Rigetti to CNBC. Then you had Bloomberg report that, no, they actually are legit having conversations with a bunch of these companies. So I don't think anyone necessarily knows exactly what is happening for sure, but the market is not giving them the massive premium they had in the pre-market, not taking away all of that premium. So you have them relatively green on the day, but not as green as they were in the pre-market. So it's just been a wild day for a lot of the overall momentum plays. Rare earth stocks, those are slightly green, some of them, the rest of them being red, kind of losing their momentum. And then you have the Bitcoin miners turn data centers. IREN, great day, up 7%. IREN has been down 20% over the past week, so that's not too bad. Cypher's up 5%. Wolf is up 2%. Bitfarms up 4%. Galaxy up 3%. And then Riot up 7% as well. And that's kind of what you got as we get into this market close. S&P 500, we got a little bit of a red candle right there. Trump is speaking, so we're going to see if we get any quotes from Trump. I don't think he's taking Q&A yet. As soon as he starts taking Q&A, you know, you might have him say something that could piss off the market. So we're going to see if anything happens there. Oscar's down because of Molina Health. Remember, Molina Health took a really nasty hit. I mean, they said EPS would be 19. They came in at 14. Now, Oscar is recovering from where it was in the morning. It was at like $17, or it was at $18.50. Now it's at $19.60. So not a horrible decline, but that is still down today. And then NVIDIA right here, 182. I think Tesla is the most impressive of the day. Tesla had a lot of work to do. Tesla got to 413 in the morning. Now it's at 448. So anyone who bought that dip has been heavily rewarded. And I think it's kind of going up with the broader market going up, which is also nice to see as well. So that's what you have across the board in terms of some of this price action. Now, what do we have after the bell? We have Intel and Ford. Intel and Ford, those are going to be very, very important earnings. Let me know in the chat if anyone owns those names. We'll actually do a poll right here on Intel and Ford. I do have the Karp interview. It is a bit of a long interview, so I'm going to wait until after the earnings. It's about around about 15, 20 minutes. So let's get through the earnings, and then we can sit back and watch the whole thing. It is not like a 2-3 minute interview. Typical Karp. I mean, nothing too crazy, nothing too different. He was asked about the contract value of this Lumen deal. And, it's reported by Bloomberg that it was $200 million. He did not confirm how much it was, but he did say it's a pretty big deal and a multi-year strategic partnership, which is £4. So here's the question in the chat. Intel or Ford, which one outperforms after the bell? Intel or Ford? If you had to buy one of these for an earnings gamble, which one would you buy? And what do you think we're going to see? Now, the street, it doesn't have the highest expectations for Intel. Let me just pull up the numbers right here. Ford, tends to be not as volatile. Intel, I believe, is a 5% move up or down baked into it. Intel street wants 1 cent per share and $13.14 billion in revenue. So they're not expecting too much. Anything above that would be good. Intel, again, did get rid of their dividend about 5 quarters ago. So question is just going to be what they can put up on these results. Intel right here is up a decent chunk year to date. It's up 2% on the day. So you're getting a pre-action move as we get into it. And it's up, 87% year to date. I mean, they don't really have room to mess up. But then again, the U.S. government pumped $9 billion into them. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe this gets re-rated into the 43s, 45s. Now that the government's backing them, if they can put up any level of meaningful results, that would get the street excited. But that's what you got right there on Intel. 78% of you think Intel outperforms Ford. All right. Decent amount of people thinking Intel will outperform. Couple other headlines. We got 5 minutes until the market closes. First of all, money market funds. We have the results. Let's put in the chat before I say it. Increase or decrease? What do you think? Last week, we had a decrease in money market funds by $15 billion. We have the updated numbers here. And I will show you guys what those numbers are. And let's just say there's still a lot of money on the sidelines. There is still a lot of freaking money on the sidelines. Decrease, decrease, increase, decrease. The answer is officially increase. Money market funds increase by $30 billion, as you can see right there, to $7.4 trillion. 7.4 trillion is what we have on these money market funds. So, I mean, look, it shows that people still want a return that is not going to be, risking anything. And as a result of that return not risking anything, that is why you have these money market funds getting to these levels. 7.4 trillion, 30.37 billion is what you are seeing right there. All right, so that's what we have on money markets. Now, the other couple headlines that we have before we get into the close: Amazon debuting their AI glasses for drivers, along with warehouse robots. Amazon unveiled on Wednesday an ambitious suite of AI-powered technologies designed to revolutionize both delivery operations and warehouse automation, including smart glasses for drivers and advanced robotic systems that could reshape the company's workforce. You had that big headline the other day that Amazon's trying to get rid of 600,000 people over the next couple of years. Morgan Stanley said they would save $4 billion by doing that. And now they're getting into glasses. Meta's getting into glasses. Apple's getting into glasses. So I guess Amazon, it's one of the reasons why Amazon is just such a multifaceted business. They're going to try to get into as many different lines of business that they can. It looks like they are also getting into glasses. On top of that, NVIDIA and Google, or NVIDIA and Uber, I should say, announced that they are working together to advance autonomous vehicle development. The two are using Uber's large real-world driving data to post-train on NVIDIA's Cosmos platform. Cosmos is using their synthetic data in combination with real-world data, improving simulation accuracy, safety, and performance in complex real-world conditions. NVIDIA has been working with Uber and a lot of these other driving companies for a long time in regards to trying to eventually create something that is realistic for self-driving. At the end of the day, I do think Tesla really has the lead right here, but NVIDIA is working with Uber, and it makes sense for them to work with Uber. NVIDIA right there, 182, and then you got Uber right here at 94.55. Trump is talking about China. Okay, let's go to him. Let's see if we can get any quotes right here on China as we get into the close.
Every ounce of parks that we had, just disgusting. and I rode around. So beautiful statuary mark, but we could do it so much faster. I told him there, I love what you're doing.
No, it's crime. He's still talking about crime. I don't think we're going to get too much Q&A on China yet. We will get it eventually, but they are still talking about crime right here. And it might take a minute to get there. So we're going to see this in a second. Let me pull this up right here. All right, we got about 2 minutes. Again, we'll get a bunch of these Trump quotes, and we're going to see what he says, that Mike thing that was just on Fox News right there. And we'll see what he has to say. Again, it's a long after hours. Trump usually takes these Q&As pretty long, so you can expect some violent moves if he says something the market isn't like. Also, again, Ford and Intel, that's what we're going to be looking at right after the bell. And then we're going to see what we got. Chris is not going to make it today. He's actually going to Houston for a wedding. So Chris will not be here today. But we got a bunch of other headlines that we will get into after the bell. Beyond Meat, by the way, 19% down. Unfortunately, this one just did not work for a lot of the high beta momentum traders. It is what it is. It's just one of those names that had its day and wasn't able to fully break through. But that stock is down about 20% on the day. Chris is not getting married. Chris is already married, but he's going for a friend's wedding. Yes, we also have DEC earnings as well. We got a bunch of companies. But look, I think the story of the day so far is that if this China stuff is not as big of a deal as people think, and Trump's kind of been signaling that throughout the day, maybe he says that as well in the Q&A, that's going to be good. And as a result, I think that's why we're going pretty much green to end out the day. Very close to all-time highs. Here we go, folks. Thursday, October 23rd. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now closed. All right, there we go. We are done for the day. Intel and Ford are up. Let me know in the chat if you own any one of these names, whether it's Intel or Ford. S&P 671.60. Great close. Great close after a really choppy first few days of this week, getting back into the 670s and actually closing above 670. Very nice to see. NVIDIA right there, that's up 1%. Tesla up 2.3. Palantir 180.4. Robinhood 134.09. Robinhood, great day as well. SoFi, that's up 3%. Grab 573, up 2% day into the close. Amazon right there, 1.36%. Meta basically flat, did touch 740 in the morning. Roblox up 1%. CrowdStrike. The CEO was on CNBC. I don't know what he said. I don't think they had any particular business results came out, but people were excited. The one quote I did get from him was that people should not be afraid of AI eating software. They should be afraid of software not being secure enough. AKA AI is going to make software less secure, which means you need cybersecurity. And so CrowdStrike right there up 4.3% on the day. Uber, that's up 2.4%. Rocket Lab, great day as well, 5.67%. Oklo ends out the day up 4.2%, so got a bit of momentum again. Archer was a bit flat. GameStop, wow, GameStop up 4.5%. Didn't expect GameStop to be up, but that is up. And then you got Intel right here. All right, our Intel earnings, I think we're going to get them. Are we getting them? Let's see. Intel is green. You're getting a move right there on Intel. Let's see if we get anything. Should be out right now. Intel is moving. It was up 4% during the day. Yep. Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. Is this accurate? Before I say it, I want to make sure it's accurate. Are you guys seeing the same thing I'm seeing on EPS? If this is accurate, this stock's going to 40. I feel like it's going to 40. This is the number I have. This is not a confirmed number. I want to confirm it with multiple sources, but what I'm looking at is they beat EPS by 2,000%. 23 cents versus 1 cent expected. 13.6 billion versus 13.14. Trying to confirm if they actually did yeah, that looks like the number. It looks like the number. I have 2 sources, 3 sources now confirming it. It looks like they beat by 2,000%. Well, we know why Donnie T invested now. We know why Donnie T invested now. I have 3 sources I'm looking at saying this is the number. It doesn't look fake. I mean, the stock's not reacting like it's fake. Dude, that's a big beat. 23 cents a share. Are you kidding me? When the street was expecting 1 cent? That's a big beat. we all got to invest in quantum now. If Trump actually invests in quantum, then this is the trajectory this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do to make some money. This is what we got to do. All right, some more results. Gross margins 40% on Intel in the third quarter versus 36% expected. That's a hell of a beat by 4%. Again, Intel's a hardware business, not easy to squeak out a margin. That's a 4% beat. They see their third quarter revenue, $13.65 billion. That's up against expectations. Fourth quarter revenue, they're guiding for 12.8 to 13.8. Data center revenue, 4.12 versus 3.97. That's a beat. Client computing revenue, 8.4 versus 8.1. That's a beat. Foundry revenue, 4.2 versus 4.5. That's a miss. They missed on Foundry. They beat on client computing. They beat on data center. There it goes. 40. There you go. $40. As soon as I saw the EPS beat, and I think as soon as you guys saw it, it was pretty obvious this one was going to fly. This one was going to fly. There it is, $40 on Intel, 5.7%, now 6.3% on the day. And those numbers are green. Those numbers are green. Intel always misses on Foundry. Well, I guess the beats on client computing and data center revenue were enough to make up for that. We'll get to Trump's Q&A in a second. I'm trying to get forward numbers as well. But those are the Intel numbers. I was thinking of taking a gamble on it before the bell, but then I was like, dude, it's up 80% this year. Like, any bad piece of news, the street's just going to get upset at it. They put up some good news. They put up some good freaking news. There you go. Beat by 2,200%. Ford numbers are not out yet. I don't think anything else is out. We're looking for Ford. We're looking for DEC. We're looking for a couple other companies. All we have right now is Intel. Here is a little bit more coverage on this. Looks like we've got the report, and then we can go from there. 52-week highs. Yep, 52-week highs on Intel.
Time, meaning it nearly doubles here from January 1st. Christina Partsinevelos has the numbers. Christina.
It was a little bit of a messy report, John, for Intel, given some accounting changes. Intel posting a 23-cent adjusted profit and better than expected revenues of $13.65 billion. The company also beat in their product segment, but missed with its foundry business. The AI PC also up double digits. And I say that because I caught up with Intel CFO Dave Zizner just moments ago, and he told me that they are pretty short on supply because the data center refresh is happening, quote, faster than anticipated. They met demand with inventory on hand, and he's saying that they're going to be behind in Q1, probably Q2, maybe even Q3 because of this supply crunch. He said they're also doing a good job shoring up cash on their balance sheet. Of course, we know why. The U.S. government's cash injection. They also got money from selling a 51% stake in Altera. NVIDIA has a deal with them, but has yet to pay in. So once NVIDIA does pay in, Zizner said that they could have about $35 billion in cash. Speaking of Altera, I bring that up because they just sold their stake in September. So Wall Street consensus numbers may not reflect that. Also why we're not comparing EPS guide. Lastly, given the U.S. government is now Intel's biggest shareholder, I did ask Intel CFO if Intel needs to, brief the government. And he said, we don't tell them how the numbers are going to be before the quarter, but we talk to them like any other big shareholder. He also said they're making progress with their advanced chip processes like 14A, but they're still not going to put in supply until they have, quote, real firm demand, and they're not expected to announce any customers. We'll get more on the forward guidance on the call at 5 p.m. Eastern, guys.
All right, that's what you got for Intel. We got some more earnings. Let's take a look at it. Ford. I think we have a beat on Ford, folks. Ford is down 4%. Decker's also getting clobbered right here. Ford, beat by 25% on EPS, beat by 7% on revenue, 45 cents versus 36 cents. Regardless of what the stock is doing, we as investors care that companies are beating earnings because that can continue to say that the multiple on the S&P is not overstretched. So it's nice to see a beat on the top and the bottom on Intel and Ford, beat by 7% on revenue, 25% on EPS. Stock is down 4% right here. How about DEC? Deckers is down not as aggressively. Deckers, now down 4%. Let me see if I can get those numbers there. For DEC. Deckers, wow, top and the bottom beat by 15%. EPS is up 14% year over year, 182 versus 158 expected, 1.43 versus 1.42 billion on revenue. That's a beat by 1%. EPS up 14%, revenue up 9%. Again, more and more of these companies continue to beat. Newmont, that one is up after hours. Let me try to get those earnings as well. Wow, another double beat, 19% EPS, 5% revenue. beat. Revenue's up 20%, EPS up 111%. The quick takeaway real quick from all these companies that are beating on EPS is that their margins are probably getting better than what the street thought, which is why they're able to beat these numbers. Margins getting better is likely because of two letters, A and I. And if that is true, and we hear a lot of that commentary throughout this earnings cycle on these calls, then AI is creating margin improvement, AKA it should be expanding the overall multiple on the S&P, or at least make sense of why the multiple on the S&P is getting extended. 671.68 after hours on the S&P. Intel still at 40, not losing 40. And by the way, if the margins are crushing on these companies, like an Intel or a Ford or a Newell, you can imagine that big tech is obviously reaping the rewards of being able to sell all the data, the compute, the platforms, the cloud workloads to be able to get those margins to start inflecting for a lot of these companies. Intel right there, 40.28. So it should set up a decent big tech earnings cycle as we get into next week. AMD, that's up 2.4%. Google up a little bit after hours, and then SoFi 28.04. S&P still at 0.458%. Not sure why Ford is getting hit. A little bit of reverse. They see their adjusted free cash flow, $2 to $3 billion instead of 3.5 to 4. So I guess that's a little lower than expected. They have a little bit of an adjusted EBITDA hit in 2025 from one of their factories that went on fire. That's probably why it's getting hit. And then Street wanted $7.5 billion of adjusted EBITDA for fiscal year 26. They're coming in at $6.5 billion. Again, not the worst miss, but nonetheless, that's probably explaining why Ford is getting hit right there. Intel, wow, 10%. She's not stopping. She's not stopping. Nebius earnings is not today. Nebius earnings is November 11th. Nebius earnings is November 11th. DLR, are they reporting today? They might be reporting today. Digital Realty Trust, that's up 3.82%. Let me see if there's a couple other companies. Intel and Ford were the big ones. Oh, yeah, Digital Realty. Wow. 510% EPS beat. Oh, my goodness. This is a $60 billion company, guys. 3% beat on revenue. Revenue's up 10% year over year. EPS is up 13% year over year. 510% EPS beat. My goodness, dude. How much is this stock up year to date? DLR stock, it's flat year to date, and they're getting a little bit of a boost after hours right now. Dude, this is not a joke. This is not a joke in terms of some of this earnings momentum that we're seeing. Let's get some coverage on Ford, and then we will keep going from there.
Numbers from Ford, they beat by a wide margin. Company earning 45 cents a share, well above the street expectation of 36 cents a share. Revenue, just over $47 billion, $4 billion greater than what Wall Street was expecting. The metrics within the quarter, you're looking at an EBIT of $2.6 billion.
Dude, that's kind of crazy. A $4 billion revenue beat. I mean, what is Ford at the end of the day? It's a company that sells cars. Consumers were willing to purchase $4 billion more worth of Ford vehicles than what the street expected. I mean, again, there are some cracks in the economy, but maybe that's not signaling that a recession is around the corner right now.
$1 for the quarter, flat with comparison to last year. EBIT margin 5.1%, a little below 5.5% last year. And then the other metrics, cash flow, free cash flow of $4.3 billion, well above where they were last year. Each of the divisions, remember Ford breaks it up by their three divisions here. Commercial vehicles continues to do very well. A profit of $1.98 billion in the quarter. Internal combustion engine vehicles, $1.54 billion profit. EVs, despite selling more EVs, they lost more money compared to a year ago. Lost $1.41 billion with the EV business. The tariff cost impact is going to work out to be about $1 billion this year. That's well below what many thought it was going to be when the tariffs were first implemented.
It's not too bad for Ford. Less cost on the tariffs as well, which is pretty good. You would expect Ford to potentially recover right here. Already getting a green candle after hours. And then Intel still moving, 40.17. It almost broke 41. Got very close, 40.88, but did not officially break some of those levels. Okay, so I think those are most of the earnings. We did have Western Union as well. Earnings beat on EPS, 47 cents versus 46 cents. And then revenue, that is also a slight beat, still down year over year. Western Union, this is the money transfer company, if people still use it, up 2.9%. Up 2.9% on Western Union. Okay, let me get to Trump because I think he's taking some questions right now. Then we'll keep going from there. But I'll be looking at some other earnings, Intel and Ford. Those were the big ones, and we'll try to get some more updates on what's going on with them in just a second.
To that, please, because I cannot understand the words you're saying. Where are you from? Where are you from? You're from France. Beautiful accent, but we can't understand what you're saying. No?
She said a vote at the Knesset on the West Bank.
Okay, we'll get back to that when we can actually get a question that Trump can understand from what the reporter is talking about. We do have one other earnings fix. Let me pull that up. He was like, dude, it's a beautiful country, but I have no idea what you're saying. Fix, this was their Q3 2025. 296 or 291 million in net income, 2.45 billion in revenue. This is an HVAC company. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Fix right here, Fix Comfort Systems. Wow, 18% move. 18% move on Fix, whether it's HVACs, semiconductors, or F-150s. You are seeing across the board some pretty massive earnings beats. Even on Deckers, I know the stock is down, but Deckers, which is another consumer brand for outdoor materials, shoes, all that stuff, they beat EPS by 15%. First of all, it's showing there's a ton of HVAC demand, but it's also showing that the broader economy maybe is not in the worst situation. 2.14 billion on revenue for Fix and net income of 291 million. Stock's up 18% right here. That's pretty incredible. That is pretty freaking incredible. Intel right here, 40.25. That is still up about 9% on the day. We do have a headline as well. Target is going to be laying off about 1,800 people. Seeing that headline right here. Yeah, let me get this right now, and then we'll keep going.
On Quan. Well, we've got a news alert now on Target. Melissa Repko has the story. Melissa.
Hey, John. We just heard from Target that in a memo to employees, it's announced that it's cutting 1,800 jobs across the company. That represents about 8% of Target's corporate workforce. It's not cutting any roles to stores or to supply chain, but that represents the largest major layoff in a decade, John. And in a memo to employees, its incoming CEO, Michael Fidelki, talked about evaluating the organization, and he said that this cut is meant to get the company back to growth faster. In the memo, he said, the truth is the complexity we've created over time has been holding us back. Too many layers and overlapping work has slowed decisions, making it harder to bring ideas to life. Michael Fidelki is taking over officially in February. He's succeeding longtime CEO Brian Cornell. And it's interesting that he's been overseeing an effort to kind of get that company turned around. Its shares are down about 65% since its all-time high back in 2021 when it was seeing a lot of gains from the pandemic. And
all right, so Target saying they got to lay some people off. Now, here's the question for everyone in the chat. By the way, Target stock, Intel still moving. Target up a little bit on this news. Here's the question. Do we think Target is firing people because they have less demand and the business is not going that well and the consumer isn't shopping that much at Target? Or do you think AI is making them more efficient and they're realizing there's a lot of mid-management people, a lot of white-collar work? This is all corporate, by the way. It doesn't seem like they're talking about people that are actually in the stores. They're talking about corporate. I mean, are they thinking, hey, maybe we don't need all these corporate bureaucrats inside of Target because we are more efficient without them? I mean, Target stock has not had the best story over the past couple of years, but from all the earnings we're seeing, it's not looking like it's a demand problem with the economy, at least at its core. Especially when we're getting these top line beats, maybe it's more due to AI. See a lot more people saying AI. All right, let's go back to Trump. Let's see if we get some of these questions, and then we'll keep going from there.
And what are your continued goals with this task force now that you have about 3 years left?
Well, the best thing we have going is we have such talent around this tab. I could go over every one of these men and women, and we have unbelievable talent. They've got the naturals, you know, like somebody that hits a baseball or a golf ball or a, you know, that you see more, it's more evident. It's beautiful because it's sports. You can tell somebody right away, are they good or are they not? These people are the most talented people at what they do. And when we started talking about this, Stephen and all of us, it seems so easy. What is surprising to me is how quickly we can straighten out a large city, a big city, a mean city, a city that's sick, that got very sick with guns all over the place, with bullets shooting all over. where you take your life in your hands if you go out and buy a loaf of bread. That's not America. That's not our country. And those people don't care how you do it. They just want it done. They really do. You know, when you go to the people in the street, they're not.
I believe Trump is talking about the task force in San Francisco that they want to be deploying the National Guard at. But this entire roundtable was about crime and what the administration is doing on crime.
But I think the biggest thing we say is we have tremendous talent. We were able to recognize, like a football team, like a baseball team, we were able to recognize the talent. And the talent is largely in this room for the whole country. It's largely in this room. There's really nothing like it. And that's why I think we had DC done, not perfectly, but pretty much done, at least normalized in 12 days. Would you say 12 days? On the 12th day, it felt different. And you know, we took a lot of bad people out, never to come back again. Then most of them never to come back again. But there's great talent, and there's also great courage. I've been watching what goes on, and then you have the radical left lunatics, and what's that all about? I mean, they're fighting us because we want to stop crime. Where do these people come from? They're paid money. I guess they're paid a lot of money. But like I saw that ridiculous march the other day, I say, these people are not representative of our country. And not all of them, of course, but many of them are total lowlifes. These are lowlifes. These are people that are paid agitators. And they're not representative of our country. So I don't know. I can just tell you that our country has tremendous spirit right now. You know that better than anybody because you cover it well. But we have a lot of people that are very happy right now with the direction. They did a poll the other day. The direction of our country is better than it's been in 37 years. And I'm upset because I think it should be better than that. I actually said we should be better than that. So, you know, thank you very much for your question. Brian?
Mr. President, yes. Thank you, Mr. President. You guys have done an amazing job in Memphis. Some of those numbers are staggering, and we've gotten message on social media wanting to thank you for that. But I think, can you talk about the number of missing children you guys have discovered in Memphis? That's amazing.
Well, it's hundreds of thousands were lost through Biden and the Biden administration, and we are getting a lot of them back. But they're either dead, they're slaves, they're captured in some form. But think of it, hundreds of thousands we're talking about, not even believable. And they came in through the border, they were sold, they were bargained for, and this was all Biden, meaning Biden and Obama, the same mentality, frankly. I think it's the same mentality. Let me tell you, Barack Hussein Obama was a lousy president. A lot of bad things happened. Remember when they used to talk about Trump with the jail cells? Well, he built the jail cells for the children. He built those jail cells. Remember that came out? But, sir, they were built in 20.
Okay, so we are not getting any market questions. I thought they would ask him some more stuff about China or his quantum investments. We're not getting any of that. Hopefully, we'll get them later. We'll get to see what he's saying. Intel still moving after hours. Intel right here, 40.2. I'm going to do a poll right here in the chat based on that same question that I asked a couple minutes ago. Do you think Target is laying off people because of AI or because of consumer demand? 82% of you said Intel would outperform Ford. The majority of you were right on that. Is Target laying off due to demand issues or AI? I'll put the both option there for those that really can't decide. I mean, again, I got to look deeper into the announcement. If they had said we are laying off people in the store that are working in the shelves, then that's a different question. That's like, oh, you don't have enough people buying stuff to support those people. You're talking about corporate. I mean, again, corporate comes down to a lot of people sitting in a fancy office. Like if they're laying off those people, that feels a bit more AI to me than actually the consumer's weak. But ultimately, we're going to have to see a bit more to see if that plays out. We do have this clip from Trump right here. Let me pull this up right now. This was him discussing Jensen actually giving him a call a little earlier ago. Yeah, most people of you guys saying AI. Target stock also has been in the gutter. That is fair. That is fair. Okay, this was from a couple minutes ago.
as you probably know, maybe you heard, we were going to do a big surge in San Francisco, but I got a great call from some incredible people, some friends of mine, very successful people. Mark, everybody knows him, and Jensen, everybody knows Jensen, NVIDIA, and others called me from San Francisco, and they said, we're working really, really hard with the mayor, and we're making progress. Would it be possible for you to hold off the surge? And I had 4 or 5 calls, and I think they're making progress of their own. That would be the greatest. I mean, if they could do that, that'd be great. And they have great competence in those people. I mean, incredible competence, some of the smartest business leaders. And they're working very well with the police department. They're doing a good job. So we are holding off that surge, everybody, and we're going to let them see if they can do it. I said, I think we can do it much faster. I know we can do it faster. I think we can do it better than anybody. We can take criminals out there.
All right, so you got Trump saying Jensen from whatever company he said. I don't know if that's NVIDIA, but it's kind of sounded like it, kind of didn't sound like it. Kind of laying off the San Francisco stuff, which does make sense. You had Mark Benioff retrace his comments after saying that Trump should deploy the National Guard. Maybe Jensen called as well and said, San Francisco, we'll figure it out. But you got Jensen kind of you got Trump basically saying, all right, if that's the case, then we're not going to deploy the National Guard, at least right now. And they're focusing on some other countries. Intel right here, 40.50. Let me know in the chat if you bought Intel on this surge. I think right at 38.50-ish is when the earnings came out. And then you got to move right here. And also let me know if you're selling. I mean, if you're up $1 or $2, maybe you don't risk it going into tomorrow. Intel's going to have to give a pretty good earnings, and they're going to have to say some stuff that's really good for the street to continue to be excited. But this is what you have on Intel right now. Now we got a decent amount of you got into it. Bought 600 shares, bought 300 shares, bought 500 shares, bought 2,000 shares this afternoon. Okay, well, then you're doing okay. 2,000 shares this afternoon. Let's get a little bit more coverage on Intel, and then we'll get Karp on Fox Business.
Semiconductor and hardware research analyst at Wedbush. He's got a neutral rating on Intel. Matt, I'm looking at the gross margins here, which had been an issue for investors until the federal government bought in. I mean, given that it's chasing this demand issue, demand strong, supply not keeping up, but their margins are still pressured, I guess because of their ability to load the fabs here. Is Intel doing a lot better?
I think the end markets are a lot better. So Micron told you the PC market was going to be flat at one point. Now it's going to grow mid-single digits. I think you're seeing that in Intel's numbers. I think you're seeing the fact that AI is pulling standard servers.
Dude, look at that gross margin inflection, 27.5 to 38.2. I mean, that's pretty incredible. So if they can keep that getting up anywhere near 40 or 45%, like, NVIDIA, they're probably not going to get to like 70% like NVIDIA, but still, that's going to be good. And that's probably why they beat on EPS, 23 cents versus 1 cent expected.
And that's creating more demand for Intel Xeon products. And that's what Intel's showing you, not necessarily that the company's in a better place, but that its end markets are in a better place.
So given that at these levels, if it's trading here tomorrow, the stock has basically doubled since January 1st. What do you have to believe it's worth it? Do you have to believe that the foundry strategy is going to work? Do you have to believe that they're going to get more customers than they have or compete more effectively with AMD?
I think that's
Intel 41. Intel 41. Wow. Well, look, if you're an American and you pay taxes to America, I mean, technically we're up. We're all up. We can't decide to sell or not. We really can't decide to do anything with our Intel stake. I guess Trump and the VCs at the White House will figure that out. But we all own a little bitty piece of Intel, 4120. That's up 12%. I mean, look, not bad. It's what we wanted to see. What you want to see. Fix Comfort Systems, that's up 19%. Again, massive beat on earnings. I think the theme on a lot of these earnings that we've seen, and I know we've only covered like 20 of them over the past 2 weeks, and next week's going to be the real big one, but every single company. Digital Reality, 510% beat. Next Tracker, we didn't look at this one. 18% beat on the top line, or on the bottom line, 8% beat on the top line. 905 versus 839, 119 versus 101, beat by 18%. Again, on EPS. Next Tracker is a $13 billion company. That stock is up 128% year to date. It's a solar tracker manufacturing company. Solar tracker manufacturing. I've never really heard of this one. I wonder if Enphase is getting any green because of that. No, Enphase is flat. Ticker symbol on this is NXT. NXT. There you go. 14% move. 14% move. And that continues to go green. AMD as well, up 1.5% after hours. Look at that. AMD. I don't know why it's moving after hours, but it is moving 238, trying to get back to that 240 level. NVIDIA also moving a little bit after hours. NVIDIA did announce that Uber partnership, but no other big stuff I saw from NVIDIA today. Both of those moving. Oh, a couple updates from China. So China's vice premier is going to be meeting the U.S. Treasury Secretary and Jameson Greer starting tomorrow in hopes of the meeting with Trump and Xi starting on October 30th. So to prepare for that meeting, you've got those two meeting first, which is good to see. And that will likely lead to a broader meeting by all the parties going into October 30th. Iran also up 8% today. ASML is moving. Wow, all the semis getting a little bit of a move after hours. Not sure why. Oh, let's go to Trump. Maybe he's saying something. It's getting the street excited.
That very hard, right? Yeah, please.
Sir, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. When you were running for re-election in 2024, you released a video statement where you made this exact promise to show no mercy on the cartels and employ every military asset necessary to combat them. In that same video, you also said that you plan to expose all the bribes and corruptions with politicians and the cartels.
We're doing that.
Has your
we're
task
trying to
force
do
been
that.
looking into that in American politicians?
Yeah, where the money's coming from. Because you see it. Like even that garbage deal they had this weekend, which was embarrassing to them, and the crowds were much more, the crowds were not big. Those crowds were not big at all. But
okay, so we're not getting a lot of business questions here. ASML still moving. I don't have any Trump quotes of him saying something that would affect the semiconductors. And no one's really asking him about market stuff. It's more political stuff. But ASML is moving. Intel still moving as well. Wow, 41.35. 41.35 on the day for Intel. Applied Materials to reduce workforce by 4% expects 160 to 180 million in charges to be recognized in Q4, reduction to be completed in Q1 26. All right, so that's another company along with Target saying that we're going to lay off some people. Applied Materials right there, 4% up on the day. Amcor, that should be moving as well. Yeah, I mean, look, Intel's earnings is a precursor for Amcor, I think, because again, the whole thesis on Amcor is American manufacturing. And if Intel's beating EPS by 20%, again, Amcor trades at one-time sales. So if they can have any level of a Intel type of beat, or even, 1/10 of that, they can beat by 20% instead of 2,000%. That would still be a good thing for Amcor. Tesla right there, 447. That's green after hours. And then Google getting a little bit of a boost. Wow, look at that green candle, 252 to 254. Got a lot of stocks. But Trump's not saying anything. I don't get any headlines from Trump that's causing the semis and the hyperscalers. Oh, no, we got something? No, we don't. No, we do. Anthropic, they confirmed the deal. They confirmed the deal. Anthropic confirms Google Cloud deal. Anthropic to expand use of Google Cloud TPUs. Anthropic said deal is worth tens of billions of dollars. That is what we got. Wow. 2 seconds ago, Anthropic confirming the rumor. Now, Google hit 258 last time that happened. Maybe Google gets back up there. It's moving a little bit. It's not moving back to those levels yet. Anthropic confirming the Google partnership. Tens of billions of dollars is the news. They will expand the use of Google TPUs and services. Anthropic will train and serve Claude models with plans to access up to 1 million TPUs worth tens of billions of dollars. In total, Anthropic will have access to well over a gigawatt of capacity coming online in 2026. Where's Amazon on this? Google now moving a little bit more. Amazon, a little bit of a red candle as Anthropic's not continuing to work with them. For Anthropic, it makes sense. They should be diversifying their cloud providers. But Google is up. Google is up. Wow, there you go. There you go. All right, so you're getting some momentum on the Googs. Dell after hours, that's up a little bit. Again, SMCI had the thing about SMCI, if you're deep into this, I don't think it's something to worry about to that extent. They affirmed their fiscal year guidance of $33 billion. They're just shifting some of the revenue that you expected in Q2, $6.5 billion. They came in at $5 billion to Q3. So, and they operate on a different fiscal year. So I don't know. I don't think SMCI is like given the demand is there and it's outstripping supply still is what they said. And Dell increased their earnings dramatically in the terms of the projections. I feel like that SMCI dip will get bought, but SMCI is down about 6% on the day or 7%. Google right there now up 1.7 after hours, 256. Broadcom should be moving with Google. Let's see. Broadcom is indeed moving with Google. 350 up 3% with the Googs. And then Intel still 41.22. Got up to 41.50. Couldn't break 42 yet. Okay, look, not bad. I mean, you needed this news if you were a Google to continue showing that your TPUs had a lot of value. Google right there, 255. That one continues to be green after hours. You know, Google lost 250 for a couple weeks. So the fact that every day this week it's basically been closing above 250 is also really nice and bullish to see. Josh says, my thoughts here on Intel. They're the worst chip manufacturer. And they are doing this well. Just imagine the others and what that means for the space in general. That's a hell of a point. If Intel, which quite frankly has sucked for the past couple of years, is beating EPS by 20%, I mean, I think we should be relatively optimistic for Broadcom's earnings, for AMD's earnings, for NVIDIA's earnings, even without China demand and Middle East demand and all these other things that they're still lacking. Intel now 41.40. If Intel can put up these numbers, the rest of these guys should really be able to put up these numbers. And again, we're seeing it. Anthropic's not going to sign a massive deal with Google if Google doesn't have the cloud computing capacity to provide them the workloads, if Google doesn't have the chips needed to make sure that they can say you can sign a deal worth tens of billions of dollars for us, and if Anthropic doesn't have the demand. Like, all these things are intertwined. So the demand is there from their side on the foundation model, and then Google is ready with the supply and the infrastructure, the data centers, the gigawatts of energy to make it actually happen. And as a result, I think you should get good earnings from a lot of these hyperscalers that are getting into these deals. So there you go. Google continued to be green on the day. Intel as well continuing to still hold up, and then Amcor up after hours as well. S&P 500 up 0.5%. All right, we're going to go to Karp. This is 10 minutes of Karp on Fox today. They signed a multi-year partnership with Lumen. Here is what Karp had to say. This is his first interview in a while, and this is probably going to be the last interview before we officially get Q3 earnings going into November.
CEO Alex Karp, and he is here with Kate Johnson, President and CEO of Lumen. Palantir and Lumen just announced an expanded multi-year, multi-million-dollar partnership to deploy Palantir's AI to fast-track and enhance Lumen's digital networking infrastructure. Kate, how'd you get hooked up with this guy?
Yeah, well, through an incredible partnership, actually. We're teaming up to deliver the Holy Grail for businesses. It's all about real-time intelligence, and you need two things to do that. You need to be able to move huge amounts of data from anywhere to anywhere, quickly, securely, effortlessly, and that's what Lumen does. That's our business. And once you have that data, you need to be able to make sense of it, and that's the AI platform that Palantir has.
Alex, this is a reported $200 million deal. Am I right on that?
You know, we don't really comment on the specifics of deals. What I would say is it is a formative deal for us. We are very, very happy to be partnered with you. What basically is happening is you have a business that, if it can be transformed in a year as opposed to 5 years, could be the backbone of essentially every AI use case in the country. You have these somewhat older telco infrastructures that really can't support the burden that AI places on the network. And in her leadership, they have a team that is just extremely aggressive in how do you transform this from A to B. And obviously our products are quite useful. So after you've transformed it, then you have after you can use the data in real time at scale, given the AI load that's going to come, then the question is, what do you do with the data? And then we're ideally suited for that. But honestly, it's also just a marvelous team, and we really enjoy supporting them.
Okay, so you're not going to give the amount of money, but is it fair to quantify it as one of the bigger deals you've done?
It's a very large deal, and we're very serious about it.
What do you think Palantir can do for you and your millions of miles? Right now, you expect to do 17 million fiber miles by the end of 2025 here in the United States. What can Palantir do? Because they're a data aggregator. Explain to our audience what you expect this partnership will enable you to do to speed up what is now a very clogged system. Billions of queries. Yeah. Is it fair to say per hour? Per hour from AI?
I would say per seconds at this point. But I think there's a couple things. So first of all, Lumen is customer zero for the value of this partnership, right? We use the Palantir platform to make sense of our data. Like so many businesses out there, Liz, there are thousands of applications with data trapped in them, and the Palantir platform helped us set that data free and then make sense of it. So we could do two things. Number one, take a bunch of costs out of our business, and number two, accelerate our transformation to bring AI, to the rest of the world. And so what does Palantir do for Lumen? It basically accelerates our transformation and allows us to bring the joint capabilities, moving data, making sense of data, to thousands of customers.
Alex, your data helps companies and governments save a lot of money and cut costs because it makes connections, it analyzes the data, and that's something that takes a lot less time using that. So when you look at the demand that's out there for that to happen, for the enterprise customers whom you serve, how much quicker can you make this data move?
Well, I mean, it is a great example of you have essentially a fixed asset. And if that aspect was transformed into more modern infrastructure, you could do it 200x faster. So that's but then there's 2 points. It's both hundreds of times faster, but then it's actually incrementally cheaper because you could orchestrate when do you use our product, when do you not use it, at what cost point, how much data would you use, and it's both it's faster and cheaper. You could look at this, at least I'm kind of a layperson, but you could look at the business and say, why isn't this much more like a cloud business where you have, you take older infrastructure and then all of a sudden you can actually do near real-time queries, and you can control the cost, which honestly many cloud providers can't do very well. So if you could do both in real time, that completely transforms not only the use cases you can do, but the cost of the use case. And in AI, one of the problems on the pure front end is a lot of the use cases are the value doesn't equate to the cost of running them. So one of the big ways you make these things more valuable is you control the cost, and obviously in our ontology, we believe you can create a lot more valuable, quantifiable use cases. And if you can do both, you'll do very, very well in the market.
And securing this data, hugely important. The president right now is talking about Homeland Security. So much of the data and the efforts that they do ties back to you guys. You at Palantir have so many software deals with many arms of the government, including Homeland Security. So securing that data.
Well, we both do. I mean, the reality is the partnership really began because we both have very significant government clients. And again, these clients care about speed, veracity, and security. And that's essentially what they want to buy. And there's a lot of there's a lot of difficulty in doing this and using large language models when do you use them? How do they touch your infrastructure? Under what conditions? What do they say? These are going to be crucial to making things actually valuable.
How far behind are we, Kate, in building out connections between cities? You've got this inner city network between 50 major centers in America, but I mean, I'm sure you guys will push as much as you can out there. But again, you're talking about billions of queries, and now all of these enterprise companies have agents, AI agentics.
There's a pretty big gap between what's needed to thrive in the AI economy and what we have today, but we're going very, very quickly. And it's a couple of quick things. Number one, the hyperscalers recognized the gap last year, and we did a bunch of business with them to interconnect all of their data centers. We're underway with that business right now, digging trenches to make sure that we are building the AI superhighway. The second piece of it is kind of this bandwidth reckoning that businesses are having, like, oh my gosh, I need so much more than I have. And the pipes today, they aren't secure enough, intelligent enough, quick enough, big enough. And we're fixing all of that with the digital platform.
And Alex,
By the way, important to note also, she employs thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of workers to actually do this. So it's also, this is one of the fascinating things about the business is it's like supporting kind of high-end use cases that people equate with AI. It's also supporting the American worker.
Absolutely. And this push towards super intelligence is also sucking up a lot of the space through the networking system. How close are we, Alex, to super intelligence? And I ask that because a consortium of heavy hitters, everyone from Steve Wozniak to Sir Richard Branson to Prince, I don't know, one of the princes, Prince Harry, the Nobel Prize winning AI pioneer Geoffrey Hinton released a statement calling for a moratorium on developing a system. Hold on, let me put this out there. Developing a system that could surpass human cognition.
Okay, well, now we're moving to the portion that's just me, and I don't want to be, but there's basically the way they look at it and the way I look at it, which is my view, not anyone else's, which is we're in an arms race here. That's all academic, super academic. It's like we're going to either have AI and determine the rules, or our adversaries will have it and they'll determine the rules. And so this is why these infrastructure things are crazy important, because in order to make it work, what do you need? You need infrastructure that can actually run the models, get the data there in a secure and cheap enough way. You need to make the models actually useful. You need ontology to do that, meaning you have to deploy them where they're useful and where they're not, and orchestrate them. And if you start putting impediments on this, de facto what's going to happen is our adversaries will build it, and we will be buying everything from them, including our ideas of how to run our country. And so, like, my personal version, Palantir, what we represent at Palantir, what we do not impose on anyone else is we're running like hell, and we're going to support anybody, especially people on the front line, who can, like, galvanize this infrastructure, and then our clients in the DoD especially, and help make the American warfighter the most lethal in the world.
Jensen Huang of NVIDIA had said, similar to what you just said, that if we don't develop this stuff, then, and we don't take the lead in the tech stack of the world, then we are going to lose it to China. So he is for doing business with China. You have never done business with the Chinese government.
We all have our own position on this. First of all, Jensen is a patriot and someone that everyone in the business community, including I, respect. And, we all have differing opinions on this, and we could sit down and probably discuss them. Where I'm sure Jensen Huang and I agree is this is an American dream. This is an American technology. He is a preeminent American with a preeminent, crucial American company. We believe you need ontology and chips to make this work. We supply the ontology. It turns out you also need infrastructure. There are certain components you need to make this work. They happen to be made in America, and we should just focus on making America even stronger and stronger.
But not doing business with China.
Well, we all make their own decisions. Palantir has a long. We started off in the military. We support clandestine service. We're very unique. We at Palantir only work with America and its allies. That's a decision. By the way, it's not everyone's decision. But what's crucial is, we get the American economy to be by far the strongest in the world. And people like Jensen Huang and Palantir and Lumen, we're all marching in that direction.
All right. That's what you got from Mr. Alex Karp and Palantir. I don't know, dude. I think 200 after earnings is possible. They got to put up some really good numbers, but this is a pretty big deal that they signed. If Bloomberg's correct and it's 200 million, $200 million bucks. If they can get more and more deals like that, you can just imagine the rapid adoption of the commercial business, not to mention the government business. And we're going to have to ultimately figure out how these results play into the broader thesis that the street has on Palantir. The street is at least starting to form on Palantir. We got a lot more price target upgrades, but it does seem like the business continues to execute at a pretty high level. Palantir right there after hours, 180.47. NVIDIA, that's still up 1%. Tesla up 1.96. And then Hoodie at 134. I don't know much about Lumen. I did interview one of their executives at AIPCon, and I posted a video on Daily Palantir about it. Look, here's the thing. I don't think just because a company works with Palantir, it's worth investing in them. Because just because you use Palantir doesn't mean you're a great company, but it does give a little bit more of a reassurance if you are thinking of investing in a company, knowing that their software infrastructure is built on something that actually, can scale, manage the data, and properly give them the types of intelligence they need to actually advance the business forward. Lumen is up 10x since the lows. It's up 38% year to date. Again, I just don't know enough about this company, but there are a lot of names that have done very well as they've been able to use more Palantir. Now, what is the street thinking for Palantir going into earnings? They have a revenue target of, let's put it right here, 1.09 billion, and they want about 17 cents of EPS. I mean, I think we beat that. I think we can do 1.2. We could beat it by about 100 million, or at least by 50 million. And so if we come in at 1.2, you're looking at 53, 54% year-over-year growth. That would be pretty incredible. Not easy for the broader stock market to understand, companies being able to put up that type of growth, especially in software. So I think that's what we'd be looking for. NVIDIA right there, up 1.13%, then the S&P 500 up 0.6% on the day. We will have the daily recap out later on the day. Yesterday we missed it because we went long with Tesla earnings, but we'll have a normal daily recap out later today, and we'll recap a lot of the different stuff that happened. Going back to this story, we got a couple other stories that we'll talk about, and then we'll be done for the day. Trump is still taking questions. It's mainly political stuff. All the headlines I'm getting are pretty much political questions. No one's asked him about China. No one's asked him about anything of that. So not really seeing any of those quotes here. Here is the update from Rigetti on this quantum story today. And this is what they told CNBC based on if the government is willing to take an equity stake or not.
Hi, Christina. It's been a roller coaster with this story, but like you said, the Trump administration is really pouring cold water on a report about quantum computing deals. An administration official tells CNBC's Eamon Javers that they're not currently negotiating equity stakes in quantum firms. But stocks, like you said, IonQ, D-Wave are still much higher. IonQ up 4%, D-Wave up almost 10%. The key words, though, are currently and equity, which suggests that there could be a deal in the future, perhaps one that would use warrants, giving the government the right to buy shares later rather than taking ownership now. But Rigetti told CNBC this morning, quote, "We are continuously engaging with the U.S. government on funding opportunities. If the U.S. does not lead in supporting these breakthroughs, others will, posing significant risks to our national security." So if a deal happens, it would follow Intel. The government converted grants into a 10% stake just earlier this year. But Intel has billions of dollars in revenue. These quantum firms have barely any and are burning cash on tech that doesn't work commercially just yet. Washington would be essentially backing smaller startups, while Google, IBM, Microsoft, Amazon spend billions on quantum. Google just said recently in the 24 hours that its Willow chip ran an algorithm 13,000 times faster than a supercomputer. This is really just a global race for quantum dominance. Australia put nearly $1 billion in PsiQuantum. The U.S. sees quantum as critical to staying ahead, especially ahead of China.
Christina, so you started off talking about sort of the volatility of these names today, along with the announcements that we've heard. But to your point, they're still higher. Why?
It speaks to the speculation of these names and how they can be almost categorized in the meme box.
I was going to say, right? Anything with quantum, it seems like.
Yeah.
Is there a big retail trade in these names?
Oh, of course there is, but I don't want to discount the scientific breakthroughs from a lot of these companies, and they are producing something, versus maybe some of the other meme names where you're wondering they're just completely negative in terms of revenue. What is their product even? But in this case, there's a lot of names. They move quite in tandem with any speck of headline, and we saw that early today in the White House pouring cold water. The other thing too is that the White House said currently an equity stake, which could imply that maybe
warrants,
there's
like
some others, or a complete other deal. There's a lot of companies that are in talks with the U.S. government right now because the U.S. government has shifted their stance in how they deal business, MP Materials, Intel,
It's a good point that she's making, right? So first of all, the U.S. government said currently. They should have said the other two words after that. That would have I actually heard, damn, I'm forgetting where I heard someone. I was listening to something yesterday and someone said currently right now. Oh man, I got to try to remember what it was. It was some YouTube video and someone said it. I think I was in the car and it was hilarious listening to it. Damn, I wish I had saved it. I forgot what it was. But yeah, I wish they said right now. But look, it's currently, so that means they could be thinking of an equity stake in the future. Also, they could be discussing buying warrants, which means they don't have to buy the equity stake right now. They could have the right to buy an equity in these companies in the future. The other thing that's important about this is, again, and I think this is a pretty reasonable stance that a lot of people would agree with. I don't think anyone's necessarily denying the science of quantum. There's a lot of different academic disagreements about it, you could say. But when Google and Microsoft and Jensen and Elon and all these people think that there's some potential here, you're not denying the science of it. The question is the valuations of these companies that do 12 million in revenue and have a $15 billion market cap. So the question then becomes, does the US invest in Google if they care so much about quantum national security and the race against China? Because Google, as we can see from what Sundar said yesterday, is making some pretty big progress on it. Or do they invest in Rigetti or IonQ? By the way, IonQ has $3 billion in cash. So it begs the question, why do they need any money from the US, right? I think those are the broader questions, not necessarily is quantum real or not, but do these companies deserve that type of investment? And we're going to see what the Trump administration continues to do over the long term with these equity stakes. Google after hours still moving. Where's Intel? Google not moving as much as it was a couple of days ago on the rumor. Now they got the confirmation with Anthropic, but relatively flat from a couple of days ago. Intel 41. Intel still moving at 41 and not really getting hit after hours. She said currently right, so she got halfway there. Dude, what was the video I was watching? What was the video I was watching? There was some video I was watching yesterday that said currently right now. And it was fantastic. It was absolutely freaking fantastic. All right, so we got a couple other headlines that we'll get to. First, let's go to Trump and let's see if there's any other questions we're getting. Well, okay, so this is not macro stuff, but we do have his thoughts on the shutdown. So let's take a listen to that, and then we'll keep going from there.
I think the Democrats have gone totally crazy. And you don't know what they're going to do because they don't care about the people. They don't. I really think they have no leadership. They have a lot of very low IQ people. Jasmine Crockett is a low IQ person. A lot of them are. I don't want to insult too many of them, but a lot of them are. They have no rudder. I don't think they know what they're doing right now. They've never done this before. They always agreed to go and, called an extension. Let's do an extension and talk. Even today, look at what happened today. They don't want to pay the people that have worked. And, this was supposed to be this was a test. And they wouldn't pay the people that have been working. They said, no, we don't want to pay them. This is all the Democrats. Now, all we need is 5 Democrats. And I know a lot of Democrats that are saying they're more than 5. Probably not that many more than 5, but they're more than 5. And all we need is like 5 Democrat votes so we open our country again. Sad, though, we have the greatest economy in our history. We have the highest stock market. All these things are rocking. We will have, by the end of my first year, more than $20 trillion of investment. The all-time record is $3 trillion. I think it's China. We're going to have $20 or $21 trillion. We've never had anything like it coming in because of tariffs. The money pouring into our country, the plants that are opening, AI, automobiles, everything. And the Democrats want to close our country. They're really, they say deranged. They suffer. I guess it's Trump derangement syndrome, which I think is going down now as an official condition by the doctors. I think they get paid extra money if they handle it because it's more difficult to handle than a normal mental disease. But you know what? They really should approve an extension, get the country back to work, get the people paid. And, it's very simple. You just don't know what's going on. There's something wrong with them. Yeah, it's sad, actually.
All right, so the back and forth between Democrats and Republicans continues to happen. Bernie Sanders had some comments today. This was what he said. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but Bernie Sanders said that if the Republicans got away with their plan and we reopened the government, 15 million people will lose their health care, and that would result in 50,000 people dying every single year in this country. So when the host asked him why not just come to an agreement and reopen the country, he said he can't live with that on his mind, knowing that 50,000 people would die if they came to an agreement. So and the reason I'm saying this is because when you have a senator saying, hey, there is no way in hell I will agree to any deal because I don't want 50,000 people to die based on whatever study that Bernie is citing that said 50,000 people will die if they sign this deal. I mean, where's the agreement going to be? And then here's another stat for you that I read today that was pretty interesting. Every time we've had a shutdown negotiation, a lot of it has coincided. I think like the last 9 out of 10 times have coincided with raising the debt ceiling. And if we don't raise the debt ceiling, we have a lot of issues like that. That's a whole different rabbit hole. So usually everyone comes together and says, all right, let's raise the debt ceiling. This time, we don't have that happening. It's a pretty different type of shutdown. We don't have a debt ceiling deadline coming up like anytime soon. And because of that, one could argue that the extension of the shutdown could be, quite frankly, way longer than expected because there's not that massive incentive. I mean, there's a lot of economists that say if you don't raise the debt ceiling and things get too out of hand, you can get into a Great Depression. That type of pressure is not necessarily there, which means this might last longer than expected. This might last a lot longer than expected, and we're going to have to see ultimately how long that plays out. Another update in the crypto world from Trump is that he did pardon CZ, which is the founder of Binance. Ironically, Robinhood listed the token today, BNB, which is the Binance token on their platform. They also listed Hype, two very, very liquid cryptocurrencies. So both of those coming to Robinhood is bullish for Hood. But Trump pardoned him, and here is what Trump had to say about the pardon.
People say that, are you talking about the crypto person? A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything, that what he did, well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing, you fake news. But let me just tell you that he was somebody that, as I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him. But I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support. And they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime, that he was persecuted by the Biden administration. And so I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people.
So there you go. That is why Mr. CZ got the pardon. I have no idea why CZ went to jail. Like I wasn't that deep into crypto during the time, so I'd have to do some more research on what exactly happened. You did have some crypto people that were pissed off because he's not even American, and there's a lot of Americans in the crypto world that haven't been pardoned for things they did that was, in their opinion, a lot worse than what CZ did. I still don't even know what exactly the guy did a couple years ago. So you had some people pissed off, but you have a lot of people that love CZ. I mean, the guy's estimated to be worth over $50 billion. He's built one of the biggest platforms in the world with Binance. So you did have a lot of crypto folks that were happy that happened. I don't know if they're going to actually pardon SBF. I think the political backlash, because you have a lot of crypto people that hate SBF because they think he represents the worst of the industry. And so, I mean, look, Trump is very close with SBF's parents. And that was reported from Bloomberg back in early 2024 when Trump was running for the second term. So I could absolutely see that happen. I mean, you could easily see connections get together and get Trump to pardon him. But the problem is, like, SBF lost a lot of people a lot of money. I think the political capital that Trump would take would not be the best thing in the world. Ed says CZ is a real one. He did hard time for Bitcoin. Yeah, see, a lot of the Bitcoin maxis think that CZ took one for the team for Bitcoin. I have zero idea, his past or his history, but there are some pretty important people in crypto that do respect and love him. A couple other updates. So we got some other headlines. First of all, shout out to our friend, Mr. TJ the Wheel Deal, finally getting a response from Anthony Noto. TJ's been freaking posting about SoFi for 4 years now. I think this is the first time Noto, it was the first or second time, has reposted him or responded to him. But TJ said it's easy to sell calls and puts on SoFi. We know TJ is a big option seller. And there he is selling some $35 calls for November 31st or 21st on SoFi. I have not updated the app to sell options on it, but for those that have, I would love to know what your experience has been, because obviously SoFi has started to roll this out, and hopefully that increases the value of the Invest platform. Intel right there, 41.14. That's up 11% after hours still. Yeah, the first time Noto noticed, exactly. Do you guys really want to listen to the Intel call? Do we really care that much about it? Like, do we really, what are they going to say? Like, I don't feel like the Intel call is going to be that exciting, to be honest. Okay, I'm seeing way more no's than yeses. Okay, we can do a poll, but guys, come on, it's Intel. Like, this is not Google or Amazon. Like, yeah, they had a good quarter, but like, I'm telling you, all the people that are saying yes, you're going to be bored. Like, just straight. If the Tesla call was boring, trust me, the Intel call is not going to be that much fun. You're not going to have robot armies on this call. By the way, 38% of you guys said both. 30% said AI for Target layoffs. 32% said demand. So decent amount of people saying it's demand as well. Okay, listen to Intel call, yes or no. Dude, I've taken a chance on all these companies that you got. I've been doing this for 2 years, okay? I've done Mick, can we please listen to Airbnb? And I'm like, well, Airbnb, that's an important company. I've been to Airbnb. The stock's been dog shit for the past, but I've used Airbnbs like, at least 20, 30 times. Sure, let's listen to Airbnb. Then we get on the call. And I'm like, well, now I know why the stock's in the gutter. There is nothing interesting to listen to when Brian Chesky talks about Airbnb. It's a freaking hotel for strangers. What is exciting about that? Nothing. We did that for SMCI, boring. We did that for Intel 2 quarters ago. I don't know what I was listening to. I mean, not every call is a Hood or Palantir type of call or a Jensen type of call. There's just not much to listen to on some of these calls right here. What did you guys say? What did you say? 72% say no. All right. We got to go no. If you look up Intel call live, though, I'm sure there's a channel that's streaming it. Let's see. Intel call. Yeah, Benzinga's streaming it. I'll link it right here in the chat for those that want to listen to it. Benzinga's streaming it. So you can listen to it on Benzinga's channel. Yeah, Amcor's probably, dude, we're not going to listen to Amcor's call. Like, yeah, I own the stock, but I don't want to listen to their call live. Like, I'll listen to it on my own time, but it's going to be boring, bro. It's like, it's a semiconductor company. It's not going to be the most exciting call in the world. Now, SoFi, that's going to be a big one. That one we got to listen to. But that'll be on Tuesday in the morning. So my SoFi is on Tuesday, right? 28th? Yeah, SoFi is 28th. Okay, cool. So my birthday is the 27th, and then SoFi is the 28th. And then the week after that, we have Palantir, Hood, Grab, and a bunch of other tech companies. And next week, I think we have Google. And the week after that, we have Meta, Microsoft, etc. Philip says, well, now I'm invested because of Trump. Well, there you go. SoFi is at 7:30. I'll be live at like 7:25. The call will start probably at 8 a.m. Yeah, we can listen to Apple. Usually Apple and Amazon happen at the same time, so we try to switch between both. But Apple's call is also pretty boring. Amazon's also pretty boring, dude. But like obviously because they're such important companies, we kind of got to listen to them. But I feel like out of the Max 7, Zux does the best job in terms of like keeping you engaged, and then probably Jensen and Sundar. And Nadella does good too, but like those are some of the big ones that are there. Here's an idea I have for my birthday, because a lot of people were asking, can we do a birthday stream? I think I have an idea. Let me know what you guys think of it. I was thinking of it the other day. We're going to do the market open, market close anyway on my birthday because it's a Monday. So we'll be doing that as usual. I was thinking for the market close, so towards the end of the stream, like a little fun thing we can do. First of all, we're going to be doing a giveaway on my birthday because in Indian culture, when it's your birthday, you give more than you take. So we're going to be doing a giveaway, and we'll do something fun on that. But drinking game, no, we should, it's a Monday though, bro. If it was a Saturday, yes, it's a freaking Monday. We can't do it. I think what we can do is we can, I was thinking of this. I can compile some pictures from the past 28 years of my life that a lot of you guys have never seen. Pictures from when I was 5 and 7, when I was in high school, all this stuff. And we can do a little bit of a photo album, and we can go through some of the pictures. I feel like that would be fun, because there are some pretty fun moments over the past 28 years. And, it's definitely going to be me putting myself through embarrassment, because your boy did not know how to dress in high school. Your boy still doesn't know how to dress, but I didn't know how to dress in high school, but I thought I knew how to dress. So I was like, I don't know why. I was on Facebook the other day. Like I never go on Facebook, and I just started scrolling from like years and years ago. And I was like, dude, did I actually wear that? Like, did I actually leave the house and go to school wearing that shit? Like when you see these pictures, it's going to be intense. So I was like, okay, why don't we make it a little fun? So I think we could do that. Yeah, now 10 years later, it's hoodies under a jersey. But back then, bro, back then, I was just looking at some of these pictures. I think someone sent me a message on Facebook, and so I clicked it, and then I just was like on the website, and then I just like went on my profile. I was like, dude, I haven't touched this profile in years. And then I'm looking at just all these pictures. I'm like, it would be kind of fun to just like compile some old pictures together. So maybe we can do that for the birthday. He's telling us that he doesn't know how to dress, like we didn't see him wear a jersey over his hoodie. I still defend the jersey over the hoodie. I really think people just don't understand the sort of what do they call it in Paris? The chic. Isn't that a Paris term? Chic fashion term? Like you don't understand the chic of it. In fashion, chic refers to an elegant, sophisticated, and timeless style that emphasizes quality, a good fit, and refined details over fleeting trends. Yeah, I just think people didn't get that, to be honest. And that's why no one understood. So that's what we got. Hokie says, I sold all my Iran, made 300%, and bought more Nebius. Dude, Nebius, I'm definitely not getting my 98 put assigned unless something changes tomorrow. 107.20. Maybe 95 is the base. Maybe 95 is the base on Nebius. If you wore that outside the loo, you would have scared the thieves away. Oh my goodness, bro. What outfit do I wear on my birthday? That's the next question. What do I wear on the 27th, bro? Dude, I almost bet on the Knicks last. It was 5 minutes left. The Knicks were up by 7. I almost degened. Dude, I'm not even going to say how much money I almost bet on the Knicks last night. They were up by 7. There were 5 minutes left. I had my finger ready to swipe up. It was a stupid amount of money. I was like, well, if I'm right, if the Knicks just don't mess up for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to make a lot of money. But then I was like, if they do, this would be the dumbest way to lose this money. So I just put my phone. I was like, let me not do this. Let me not be an idiot right here. And then Knicks ended up winning. And I was like, man, I should have taken that bet. But then again, that's how gambling addictions start, right? Like you think you're going to win and then you don't. Then you have to gamble to win it back. So I was just like, let me not do that. They were up by 7 with 5 minutes left, bro. But 5 minutes in the NBA is actually a long amount of time. So that it's not a small amount of time for people to make a comeback. But yeah, I didn't do it. That's what I feel every day about stock. That's what I felt about Intel today. I was like, dude, it's Intel, Trump's investing, this whole narrative about the quantum stocks, and they're up because Trump is investing, supposedly. So like the entire narrative in terms of just like how people are thinking of these Trump investments is positive. So technically Intel says anything bullish, stock should go up. But then I'm like, it's already up 90% this year. Like if they do anything bearish, or even anything that's good, but just not that good. Intel ended up being really good, but if it wasn't that good, this thing's going down. And so I decided not to, but it is always a gamble when it comes to these earnings. Wear pants as a shirt. That's, you're funny. Benny, you're funny. You are funny. All right, guys, I think that's it. I don't think there's any more market news. I mean, we can stick around for a little bit and just talk, but I don't think there's any crazy market news. Oh, this thing real quick. Let me show you guys. I just got this headline. There's a company that just raised $1.4 billion with a B, tripling their valuation to $10 billion, according to the Financial Times. The company is called Crusoe, and they are building OpenAI's first major U.S. data center. What is super bullish? Nebius, CoreWeave, Iran, all those companies. Crusoe is constructing a 1.2 gigawatt data center in Texas for OpenAI. It's going to cost about $12 billion, finished by mid-26 in Wyoming as well. So one in Texas, one in Wyoming. The CEO says the demand for compute infrastructure is unlike anything he's seen, as AI spending by tech giants is projected to exceed $500 billion annually by 2026. This is why you've got a lot of these data center plays that continue to hold their multiple, because when you see a startup, there's essentially a startup raise $1.4 billion to build data centers. And again, this is a new company. Think of the already established players like a Cypher, Wolf, Iran, which even though they're not as established in the data center space as they were Bitcoin mining, they're way more established than a brand new startup. I mean, those guys should be able to get contracts way quicker than something like a Crusoe. Applied Digital, all those names, right? That is why they continue to get some momentum. Nebius right there, 107 after hours. Yeah, I would say this is good for Iran. I mean, this is not directly tied to Iran, but all those names. Again, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the Bitcoin mining companies that are now turning into data centers. The question is about, do you buy them at these valuations when they haven't necessarily shown the growth yet to be able to get there? And, this is the like Bitfarms, right? Bitfarms got all the way to 660 last week. People bought it and nothing really changed with the company other than they said they're pivoting to data centers. There are no massive deals. And now it's back down to 420. So this is the concern about all these names. But again, if you believe the broader tailwind is that data centers are only increasing, same thing with rare earth companies, then maybe it's just the DCA, even if you bought in at a higher price. And obviously the more established ones like CoreWeave and Nebius that have real big contracts, those are probably some of the best quality ones that are also there. So that's what we got. That is what we've got on the day. All right, I think that's it, at least for market news. You can just sit and chill for a bit. That's pretty much it for market stuff. Today's Thursday, right? Yeah, today's Thursday. Okay, so tomorrow's Friday. All right, so we got one more week left of October. Call Steve. Steve was going to be on in the morning, but he got busy. Today might be one of those meeting days for him. He was live last night with Matt. Dude, they were doing like a movie tier. I tuned in for a couple minutes, and all I heard was Pulp Fiction is S tier, and I was like, no, it's not. No, the hell it's not. I don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, I don't think he could make it today. Me and Steve usually do something on Thursday, though, on his channel, so I think we're still on for it. Let me text him. Usually at 9:30 on his channel. I'll be on his channel. Chris is traveling, so Chris is not there. Michelle says, you don't know anything? Dude, I know that Pulp Fiction, it's not S tier. Y'all are crazy, bro. Pulp Fiction is S tier? Y'all are wild. Y'all are wild. Mad Money, thank you for the $1 super chat. Appreciate it. And Michelle Longmire, thank you for the $2 super chat. And thank you for being here as well. You thought Heat was bad? Heat was bad. I don't need to defend that. Heat sucked, bro. Heat was not a good movie. It's not a good movie. Matt's at work right now, probably. Matt was streaming last night, though. Is Trump still live? Is he actually? There's no way he's still doing questions, bro. There's no way. Intel's still moving after hours. No, he's not live anymore. Okay. He's not live anymore. No, I disagree with Heat, bro. I disagree with Heat. I don't. You know what I low-key want to watch again? A couple of clips on YouTube popped up of Breaking Bad, and I was like, dude, I want to watch this this show again. I've watched it like 5 times over the past couple of years. But I saw like there was a clip where they interrogated Gus on if he's like, the big guy that's created this whole meth industry. And that clip was so good. And I was just like, man, I want to watch this again. But I haven't. I just restarted watching it yesterday. Yeah, see, there you go. It is just such a... I cannot believe Steve has not watched it. I'm like, dude, it's freaking Breaking Bad. I really do believe it is the best show of all time. I really do believe that. I have not seen Boiler Room. Steve tells me to watch that. Better Call Saul, dude. I gave the first episode a chance. I know people say it's slow, but I couldn't get into it on the first episode, bro. So I haven't really watched it. I probably should if I like Breaking Bad so much. Dude, can we talk about Severance? That show is garbage. Like garbage. Like we have to add the French accent to it just to say how bad it is. Like I tried to watch that. What was it? 5 months ago, around April. I remember my cousin came over for spring break, and me, my cousin, and my sister were watching it. And I was like, what the hell am I watching, bro? This is garbage. Like, what is this, dude? What is this? I could not believe how bad it was. I'll take the shots that anyone wants to throw on this. This was not a good show. This was like, I first of all, I was falling asleep. Second of all, I was like, where's the energy? Where's the excitement? Where's the narrative? Where's the storyline? Thank you. Some people are saying it's overrated. I'm unsubscribing. It was not good. It's not good. What are we talking about? Shit wasn't good, bro. It's not anywhere near on Breaking Bad's level. Not anywhere near. Yes, Matt does have a job. He's a petroleum engineer at an oil company. He has been thinking of quitting, though, but I don't think he's going to quit. Dude, what is this K-pop Demon Hunter thing? I have never seen this, but apparently Netflix said it was like their most watched thing in Q3. I don't even know what it is. Also, this thing came out from Netflix. Squid Games, freaking 5 billion hours since 2021 has been spent watching this thing. You had 1.5 billion. You is actually one of the greatest shows of all time. I will defend that. Manifest is stupid. The first 2 seasons are good. The rest are trash. Love is Blind is, I don't understand how you marry someone without knowing what they look like. Like, I don't get it. Now, I get why the show works because it's such a crazy concept that you're going to marry someone that you don't know what they look like. I would kind of want to know what they look like before I commit to marrying them. Maybe I'm a little weird, but I don't know. That show right there, 1.4 billion. Wednesday, never got into that, 2.9 billion. And then you had Squid Game at 5 billion. Squid Game season 2, season 3 sucked, though, unfortunately. Season 2, season 3 sucked. So, yes, bring on the arranged marriage jokes. Bring them on. That is true. A lot of people in the home country ended up marrying without, but people over exaggerate it, bro. You get to meet the person, you get to have a couple, I guess you can call it dates, but arranged dates, and then like ultimately you get to decide if you want to be with them or not. Now, I think probably, let's call it in the 40s and 50s, it was straight up like you have no choice. But my mom went on some dates with my dad. I mean, like the two families came together, and then they had some dates. My mom had to see if she actually was interested, and then she agreed to end up marrying him. But probably, her mom, my grandmother, just like straight up have no choice. So it's not as aggressive as people think. But it's also not just Indians, bro. It's like there's a lot of parts of the world where arranged marriage is like the standard. It's really in the West that we have this whole concept of getting to know someone and like falling in love and all this shit. But yeah, across the eastern part of the hemisphere, it's a lot more formal than that. Chris said there was a book catalog. Yes, there is a book. Well, has anyone seen Indian Matchmaking on Netflix, which is actually a great show? There is a bio data, and you get to literally scroll through a book and like see someone's. I mean, dude, bro, but it's not that crazy because it's like Tinder or Hinge, right? It literally on Hinge, that's your bio data. That's like your height and this and that and what you're interested in and if you smoke or don't smoke. Same thing in matchmaking, but it's a different way. By the way, this brings up a funny story. You guys are gonna think this is funny. So when I was with Derek back in Miami, he had tons and tons of meetings throughout the day, right? And I was doing my own thing. And then I went and I got lunch with Adam Bergman, which I'm going to see tomorrow. Me and Bergman are going to get some dinner in the city. And we went and got lunch, and then we came back. And I came back 5 seconds, I'm exaggerating, 5 minutes before he gets into a meeting. And so I walk into the house, and he's like, "You're going to want to listen to this meeting." And so we get in. So I sit down next to him. He takes a meeting with a professional matchmaker. Now, Derek is divorced twice over. He has 3 kids. He's running a big startup. He's not really interested in like getting married or dating or any of this. If he wanted to date, he could date. He broke up with his girlfriend of 2 years about 12 months ago because he wants to focus on his startup. So like he's not really interested in dating. But the email was so compelling, and he gets these emails all the time. But this one, for some reason, was so compelling to him, he decided to take the meeting. And so I'm sitting in the corner while he's taking this meeting, yeah, Michelle knows about this. Michelle was in Miami. She heard the story. And this is not just matchmaking. This is billionaire matchmaking. Because Derek's rich and there's other women that are rich, and it's not that easy to date when you're that rich. So you like go to these professional wealth matchmaker, whatever you want to call them, people that work for very wealthy people to matchmake, and you try to find love. And so we're in this meeting, and this is the funniest shit ever, because this matchmaker is trying to like figure out if his client is a match for Derek, and he's asking him all these questions and trying to figure out all these beliefs. And then he's like, so, you know, I'm assuming you're liberal and you care about the environment and all this stuff based on all these prior questions he asked. And Derek's like, I'm not fucking liberal. And the guy's like, well, I got the impression. Derek's like, I'm not liberal. Derek's like, I'm a single guy living in Miami. You think I'm liberal? And so the guy completely read the room wrong. And he thought Derek was like this uber liberal dude. I think it's because Derek's from California. So he's assumed white guy from California, liberal, but that's like the opposite direction. The client apparently is super liberal. And so Derek was like, all right, I guess politics is a thesis breaker. Thesis breaker, I'm using stock terms. It's like, it means it's not going to work because, you assumed I'm super liberal, not because Derek doesn't want to be with a liberal, but because that matchmaker was so intent that he's connecting two liberals. And the matchmaker was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. She doesn't care about politics, blah, blah, blah. And Derek was like, all right, whatever. And then it took like 40 minutes to finally get a picture of this chick. I'm over here on the side trying to just find this chick because he was like, well, she worked at this company and she had these acquisitions. And so I'm like typing random shit into Google to try to see what does she look like? Because all I care about, quite frankly, I think all Derek cared about was like, is she hot, bro? Like, is she hot or not? Like this whole freaking 45-minute discussion. And they started talking about spirituality and all this shit. I'm like, bro, what is her name? What's her IG? Is she pretty? And then we finally see what she looks like. And me and him just look at each other. And then he's like, all right, well, thank you for your time. I appreciate the meeting, yada, yada. And then, the meeting ends and Derek's like, bro, she is fucking ugly. And I was like, dude, we just wasted 45 minutes. Dude could have just showed us the picture in the first 5 seconds. We would have had a decision. We would have had because I know Derek. I know some of the women Derek's been with. I'm like, bro, that's not your type, not even in the slate. Like, we could have known within 5 seconds, went through this whole spirituality, political nonsense. And then I find her Instagram. And so I go on her, I'm like, bro, I found her Instagram. And so we're going through her Instagram. This chick, the matchmaker said she's not liberal. She's open to political. This chick has every single liberal characteristic. Black Lives Matter, trans lives matter, this, like every other picture, bro, is her like campaigning that, which is fine. Like, that's totally fine. But like, it's just, it's the opposite of what the matchmaker was like, she's super open to all these, different perspectives. Like, I don't think she wants to be with someone who voted for Trump. I don't think that's how it's going to work. So the whole point of the story is just like, it's kind of crazy because at that level, I would imagine she paid the matchmaker probably hundreds of thousands of dollars because she's a billionaire, right? So she can afford it to find her someone. And the guy like really wanted Derek to go on a date with her, but he ended up saying no. And after we found out all this information, I was just like, well, that was a waste of time because there was nothing there. But it was kind of crazy because it's like, first of all, again, Derek's not opposed to being with someone super liberal, but that's just not his personality, right? Like, that's just not who he is. And sometimes you kind of need certain things to align to be able to be compatible. So that shit didn't work. And then number two is like, we needed to see her picture really quickly. And that would have decided everything. That would have decided. Amit, would you date her for the money? No, I would not date her for the money. I think this is very generalistic of me, but I really do think guys care more about the physical attraction and girls care more about the potential of a man. Girls care more about the ambition of a guy. Like, yes, girls care about the physical attraction, but I think they really do care about safety and being protected and knowing they can be taken care of. The guy wants to know, is she hot? Like, that's the most important thing. I think for a lot of guys, I'm sure it's not for every single guy, but I think for a lot of guys, that's the thing. So It was just a hilarious story because I listened to Derek negotiate a deal with someone in China earlier in the day. So that was like an intense business negotiation. I was like, wow, that's really cool to like listen to hundreds of millions of dollars flowing over the phone in over 15 minutes. And then I went with Adam, we got lunch, and then I come back and then I hear some matchmaking conversation that was literally pointless. But I could only imagine how much that woman is paying this guy who's been doing it apparently for like 40 years to like find her love. It's just kind of wild for how, how a lot of that matchmaking ends up turning out to happen. But yeah, she was not fat. Dude, it wasn't anything like that. It's just like sometimes, like there was another girl that I showed Derek that that I thought he would be into, who's in his age, and I know her from some personal connections, and I was like, yo, what do you think of this chick? And as soon as I showed her Instagram, it's like, bro, she's hot. I was like, can I talk to her? I was like, yeah, you both are single. You're both in the same age. Like, I'll try to make it happen. And so like within 2 seconds, he was like, yeah, I want to talk to her. And then you go on this 40-minute like spiritual journey with this matchmaker, and he's just like, no, this is not happening. This is not happening. So I think a lot of times it's just a gut feeling based on physical attraction many times. Well, that's what you got. Amit, would you only date an Indian, or are you open to other races? No, I've dated other races before. I've been with other girls that are not Indian. I'm not only, I wouldn't say, I don't know, dude. I think it's weird to restrict yourself to only one category. Obviously it's probably easier if it's like in the same race because of holidays and religious stuff, and even though I'm not that religious, but I wouldn't artificially restrict me. I feel like it's a bit weird sometimes going through that route. In fact, when we do the 28-year-old birthday pictures, you might see some other people in these photos that I've interacted with over the past 28 years. I don't know. Maybe. Religion can be a deal breaker, though. Yes, that is correct. Religion can be a deal breaker. I don't know, dude. I'm not super religious. So if I were to ever be with someone who's like hardcore religious about whatever religion, I'm just like, I'm not like that. Like, it's not that serious, bro. Like, it's just, at least to me, I respect it for other people that it's really serious. But if they try to get me to be super serious about it, it's tough because I'm like, well, it just might not be something that I care about that much. So I do think that, as I get into the dating ecosystem, it's just, I was talking about this so I was actually talking with someone the other day who he used to work at Hinge. He used to work at Hinge, and it's the same guy I told you that works at Square now. And he's like super into Robinhood. He sells all of his Square stock every time he gets restricted options and just buys Robinhood stock. He used to work at Hinge before that. And he was telling me about the algorithm. And he was like, bro, I left Hinge because like their algo people are just like evil. He's like, I tried to like advise them on how to cultivate the algorithm to try to like give people a chance and like actually open up opportunities. And like these algo people, they're just like hyper focused on making sure they can like get the match, but not the right match, but the match that keeps you onto the platform. And it's like, think about the Facebook advertising algorithm, which we all know is like super, crazy and like invading of your privacy, even though we give up all of our privacy to Facebook anyway. And then think of that times 100 on Hinge in the context of love. And he worked at Tinder before Hinge. So he's been in the dating app world for a long time. And now he works at a fintech, but he's just like, he hated the way that a lot of those companies operate. Robert says, dude, they are legit evil. Yeah, I mean, he did not have a friendly interpretation of those platforms. I don't know, though, bro. I don't know. Dating is a weird world, especially in this generation. Like, I don't know. Every time, like, I speak to a new friend and, like, how they're interacting in that world, they're like, dude, it's the apps. They're like, they don't go up to people in a bar or something. It's like, it's just, like, not part of the way people interact anymore. Intel still up after hours, but losing 41. So I wonder how that ends up playing out. Also, the AI stuff, right? Like, I mean, dude, this whole ChatGPT erotica thing really freaked me out. I was listening to there's a good take by Sagar on Breaking Points, and he was talking about it, and he was just like, this shit is the worst thing that could happen to humanity especially for men in the country that already feel isolated. Now they have this AI girlfriend that they can talk to. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, where does that leave us as a human species if that plays out? I don't know. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't think Amit will ever come out because of his Indian parents. Dude, how many of you guys think I'm actually gay? Is there a real percentage of people that legit think I'm gay? I can say I'm not, but like, it's, I don't really care if people believe me or not. I feel like if I was gay, I have parents that are understanding enough that dude, I'm an Indian YouTuber. Like, there's not many of us, right? So they're already very liberal in terms of that respect and understanding. Like, I'm trying to do my own thing in life and all this stuff. And, thankfully over the past couple of years, it's worked out. I'm not gay. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm just not. Do a poll. Okay, let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. This is why I told Arnie and Amir, we were randomly walking. We were getting lunch and I was like, guys, I'm not gay, right? And they're like, that's exactly what some, like, no, I'm just like, I just want you guys to, like, I'm actually not. To, like, I know people make a joke out of it, but this is the weirdest question. Do you think I am gay? This is that meme. I'm gonna spell it like how the meme spells it. Are you gay? Are you gay? Where's that meme? Oh my gosh. This is it. This is it. Oh wait, I said are you gay? I'm supposed to say, do you think am I gay? Okay, I typed it the wrong way. Hold on. Oh, if you say yes on that now, if you say yes on that, I mean, you might have just outed yourself. I'm not gonna lie. You might have just outed yourself. Okay. Do you think I am gay? For those that haven't seen it, this is the funniest shit ever, bro.
We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr? Pepe Julian Onziema. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good morning.
Me. Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay. Pepe Julian Onziema. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good morning.
Me. Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
That's why when Elon tweeted that, it was hilarious. Bro, 58% of you actually picked yes. All right, it is what it is. Polls don't lie. Polls do not lie. I don't know if I'm doing the thing with Steve today. Let me ask. He's in a couple meetings right now too. I'm asking if 9:30 still works. It's the eyebrows of it. Oh my gosh. Can't believe that wasn't higher from the chat. Dude, I really never get offended or take it seriously when people like make those gauge. Like, I really just don't. Like, if it actually got to me, I would say something about it. I would be like, guys, like yesterday when someone said Michael J. Fox died in the chat, I'm like, guys, can we not do like, I never like to be the person who scolds the chat or something. I feel like that's so cringe when YouTubers try to like talk down to their chat or their audience. Cause like, dude, they're watching you. Like, you should be, appreciative that they actually care about consuming your content. So I hate acting like that. Like, I really hate it. But if someone says someone's dying in the, like, then it's like, all right, that's not cool, right? So if I was really like offended by this or it messed up my vibe or my mojo or my flow of trying to get through the stream, I would say like, guys, can we stop it, please? Like, it's not like, it's really getting to me. I don't care, but ironic that just means more people are going to keep doing it, which is whatever, because I really don't care. So he just makes a joke out of it. But it is funny regardless. Tanner yells at people. Yeah, well, people have different vibes. Tanner has talked down to his chat But when he does it, it's the funniest shit ever. Because Tanner's not a mean person, right? Tanner's a princess. So it's like when Tanner raises his voice, it's hilarious. Because I remember this one guy gave Tanner a super chat and was like, Tanner, finish your water. And he was like, I'm not one of your playgirls that you can just tell to finish your water. I'm not going to finish my water. Screw you. It was the funniest. I was driving. I had to stop driving to type LOL in the chat. I had to type LOL in the chat, bro. Like, it was hilarious. So, yeah, when Tanner talks down, it's more so just him being himself. But then there's other people that actually, like, legit do. I'm just like, dude, like, it's cringe. Like, you don't have to do it like that. Especially because I'm no smarter than anyone else, right? So it's like having that type of ego is just not the way to go about it. Do you think Nebius will pop after earnings? I don't know, bro. I unless they announce another hyperscaler deal, we already know their numbers. Their numbers are going to be great. So I feel like that's baked into the price. So then the question becomes, what do they say that we don't know about? And okay, Steve and I are on for 9:30. I think they'll have good earnings, but same thing with Hood, bro. Even if Hood doesn't go back to 150 after earnings, like, I am just trying to be grateful for the gains this year. We got to buy Hood at $30 this year. It's at freaking 135. Like, I'm not going to be ungrateful if it doesn't get back to 50 by the end of the year. And for Nebius, most of you guys have an average below 50, even if you're at 60, 70. I mean, you can't be that upset if it doesn't get back to 140. So I am thinking of a lot of different strategies for 2026, dude. I'm thinking for a lot of strategies in 2026. I was thinking of coming out with a Substack article about, and I'll make a video on this as well. Cypher's mooning. Hold on. What's happening to Cypher? I think you got a deal after hours. I think you got a deal. Oh, dude, this is the dumbest reason for it to pump. Okay. Jane Street owns 5% of Cypher. Dude, these things, every time they happen, the stock ends up correcting. Maybe that doesn't happen with Cypher, but this happened with Robinhood a month ago. BlackRock said they own 5% of Robinhood. It's like, these are market makers. They have to own the stock. They are selling calls against them. They are fulfilling orders for millions of people on Schwab and Fidelity and Webull and Robinhood that are buying Cypher. They need to, when you buy those shares, someone has to execute those orders. Usually it's a Citadel or a Jane Street. So these are, I mean, Jane Street owns freaking like 80 million shares of Opendoor. That doesn't mean they're super bullish Open. That doesn't mean they're bullish. A lot, BlackRock, Vanguard, these guys own everything. They have to own everything. So whenever someone's like, well, BlackRock owns this much, it's like, well, that doesn't matter. Like, of course they own it. They own a ton of Grab too, because they have to, because other people are buying Grab and they need to make sure they can fulfill those orders. But stock is, its stock tend to pump as soon as those news come out, but they usually correct. You're already seeing a little bit of red candle right there on Cypher. It wouldn't be the most substantial move. What I was saying is I'm thinking of creating like 5 different ways to approach a portfolio in 2026, because we have this YouTube portfolio that we're going to be starting next year. And I'm thinking, what are the different dynamics and ways we can approach managing or building a portfolio if you have to start from January 1st prices, not today's prices, but January 1st prices, which we don't know yet, right? So it's kind of having some assumptions of what the world looks like. And then maybe things are too expensive and you hold on to cash in January. But usually January you get a dip because people sell for taxes. And so that tends to be a decent opportunity. But I'm trying to think of different ways to format what 2026 looks like if you're building out a portfolio, what themes, what sectors. So that stuff is important. Is Tanner in the chat? Tanner, I was saying, when you try to yell in your live streams or you get like a little agitated by someone's comments, it's hilarious. Cause like, you're a teddy bear, bro. You're a princess. Like it's like, you can't get, I've never seen Tanner actually angry or upset ever. Even in our personal conversations, like I've never seen him legit mad. The last time I saw Tanner mad was when YouTube banned his video for 10 minutes. That's when I actually saw him a little pissed off. But he can't easily, get that upset. You guys do try to get under Tanner's skin with Lori and all this stuff. Like you guys definitely do try to get under his skin. He gets mildly annoyed at chat for 2 minutes at a time. That's fun. Does Tanner know you're gay? Yes. Tanner. Tanner, unfortunately, look, I tried, guys. I tried to get him on the market open in Vegas. And I recommended an idea for me to make sure he would get on the market open, but he rejected that idea. So unfortunately, I tried. Although he did end up making it like 2 hours later. Yeah, when Trump banned H20 chips, I was pissed. That's also true. Use his bathroom and find out. Okay, that was funny. I thought Tanner would get mad if we told the bathroom story to everybody, but he was like, no, go for it. I was like, all right, good, because this is too funny for us to not tell everybody. This is too freaking funny for us to not tell people how you feel about bathrooms. And most of you guys agreed with him too, so to his credit. But that was hilarious. What were we even talking about? How did we even get here, bro? I don't even know how we freaking got here. We were talking about the matchmaking thing with Derek. But yeah, that's kind of how we got here. Cypher still moving after hour. Now it's already getting a red candle. Yeah, these disclosures from institutional investors, if they're not actual money managing funds, then I'm not sure exactly how bullish they are. Oh yeah, because the chat called me gay. Exactly. That's correct. Amit is small spoon. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, so we got like what, 7 days until we turn 28? Tanner turned 28 10 days before me. We got 7 days before we go to 28. 28 years on this planet. Yeah, princesses are fashionably late. That's also fair. That's also fair. Yo, what should I dress up for Halloween? Is there anything reasonable to dress up for Halloween? Oh, wait, it's not 7 days, dude. This is why, even with a math teacher, I suck at math in this 4 days. I am so bad at math, bro. I'm like, I can do very basic, like, adding and subtracting, and even then, I kind of suck at it. It is sad, though, bro, because my mom taught math for 15 years, and then I get to, like, you know, algebra and geometry and all this stuff, and I just, like, suck at it. And then, dude, calculus, I think I realized, the one thing I'll give myself credit for is in college, I realized that I'm not going to be the math guy. I'm just not. Like, I know I'm Indian, and I'm supposed to be good at math, and I'm supposed to be analytical, and I'm supposed to, you know, solve for why, but I'm curious about the philosophical nature of why we exist the way we exist, not like solving for why. So I'm like, I don't like, I think my freshman year, I told myself like, dude, this is not my shit. Like, I'm not going to be a math guy. I like working with numbers. Don't get me wrong. I like looking through valuation models, all this stuff, but like academic math is not something I was attracted to. And you have to go through that if you're going to be in the STEM world. I mean, at least to an extent, you have to be part of that. And I was just always way more creative. Way more creative. The hard part about being creative, though, is you can't make money if you're creative. Like, it's not easy to make money through your creativity. It's a lot easier if you can just, like, head down, focus into something that's STEM and make. Although, ironically, in the world of AI, I mean, like, this is where the world is getting crazy. Maybe it is easier to make money if you're creative because the commoditization is happening towards the academic and the systemic parts of society and the creative parts of our society. Although AI is trying to go after them, AI might serve more as a tool to empower the creatives, but the creatives genuinely are the things that stand out in a world of fakeness. And, you know, AI has a lot of fake things that propagate itself. You can't automate music, as we were talking about a couple of days ago, even though there will be a ton of automation in that space. But at the end of the day, you know, you're going to want to listen to your favorite artist. So who knows? But like, I was just never a math guy. Really, yeah, I let Vlad tend to do the math. Exactly. I let Vlad do the math. That's why Vlad's special, bro. Vlad is creative and he can do math. When you can do both, I can't do both, but when you can do both, you can really do some crazy shit. But it's not easy. Tess says, I'm such a geek. I love numbers and patterns, trends, and maths. Yeah, I thought look, I was a geek in high school. I had a 4.2 GPA. I was absolutely a geek. Like, I got all my work done, all this shit. Like, I was like on, but like the actual process of liking what I was doing when it came to things like math, I never got super attached to it, ever. But there are some people that love that stuff. Oh yeah, I mean, look, that's a good point. There are creative elements to math. I don't mean creative in the literal definition of creative is not what I'm saying, because like anything could be classified as creativity, right? Because you're literally creating something. Someone who's doing very complex PhD level math is going through the process of being creative with all their proofs and all this different stuff. I mean, more so artistic, I guess, to an extent, you know, and I know that's also subjective, but I think there is somewhat of a fine line between linear algebra versus painting. Like, you know, well, you could argue linear algebra is artistic, but I think most people would say the other classifies as a creative career. Okay, what do I dress up for Halloween? You guys are saying dress as Carp? I don't know if that's going to work. I want something that's like, I want something like different, bro. I don't want just something with a t-shirt and like, I don't know. Dress as Tanner. Dude. Tanner, Tanner, are you still here? Can I show them the thing you sent me and Roy yesterday? Because that shit is crazy. Let me know if I can show this. Because it's definitely hilarious. Dude, yo, I just clicked on the picture of Tanner. This is absolutely hilarious. The account that you showed me and Roy. The X account that you showed me and Roy. Dress as an Indian Steve. You can show it? Okay. This shit was hilarious, bro. There's an AI bot that's copying Tanner. FinTech lawman, FinTech legal expert, always up for a FinTech debate over a pint. Now, if you guys have not seen Tanner's profile picture, this is Tanner, to give some context. There's an AI bot called FinTech Lawman, which, I mean, FinTech, Tanner's the FinTech guy, right? The purple background, the suit and tie, the blazer. It's just, it is so weird, bro. I don't know who this is. I don't know if they're a bot, if they're a human, but yeah, they're copying Tanner. This is what I mean, bro, by AI potentially commoditizing creative work. My camera just died. You might have people that like end up using this as their way of, you know, communicating other people's careers. It's Lori's husband, exactly. It's freaking Lori's husband. Probably his gay stalker. Oh my gosh. It's weird though, right? It's so weird. We are all getting way in the weeds. AI has already solved some huge problems in math and invented new antibiotics. I think it's weird how fast we all got used to it. Yeah, that's fair. We all have gotten super used to AI. I mean, AMD with MedLogix today, they partnered and they said that pre-detection of cancer in certain trials has started to work out on their technology that they're doing in collaboration with AMD. There's so many things that AI is already making so much progress on. But, you know, the Wall Street guys are like, where's the ROI? Where's the ROI? And we are seeing some really good earnings beats, potentially because of AI on the margin story. I think everyone's looking for that massive killer application of AI, which is why we're so impatient on it. But it is changing the world. Like, dude, one of the reasons I bought DeepSeek, or I bought NVIDIA so heavily during DeepSeek, is I talked to one of my friends who works at, he's a junior in Berkeley. And I hit him up and I was like, bro, like, what do you think about NVIDIA right now? I think the stock was at like 110. I was like, he's one of the smartest guys I know in Berkeley. I was like, it's like, is NVIDIA buy right now? He's like, dude, take every freaking dollar you can find and buy NVIDIA. He was like, at least in Berkeley in California, the only thing we can talk about is AI. And the only way you get AI is because of NVIDIA. He was just like, I don't know why the market is being so stupid, but if you ask me, you buy as much NVIDIA as possible. And I said, okay, I'm going to buy. I mean, I took his advice. I took Tanner's advice, and we bought more NVIDIA. So it really is one of those things that we're getting used to, but it is so special at the end of the day. 2 years ago, every normie was saying how dumb picture video generation was and they never use it. Now they link Sora vids to me. Resistance is futile. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Do you think Mamdani is winning? Yeah, bro, he's winning. I looked at the polls. This is not me giving my political opinion. Again, you guys know I don't care about politics, but objectively, looking at the poll, look, here's a reason why he's winning. I mean, this is just one of those things that didn't look the best for Cuomo. But they asked a simple question. Let me put this up right here. I was watching a little bit of the debate the other day. Is this the whole debate? Yeah, this was the question. Let me see if I can pull it up right here. And Cuomo just fumbled on this question, bro. He fumbled so hard on this question. Like, it was so bad. Do you guys know the question? Do you guys know the question? Damn, where is this clip, bro? Where is this clip? Hold on, let me see. Mamdani. Dude, you would think I would get this clip from here on YouTube. Let me see if it's here. It was a question about sports, and it was just such an easy way to not fumble the. Is it a reel or is it a clip? Dude, why am I showing you guys all these reels now? Damn, where is the freaking, like, how can I not find this? Hold on, let me search it up right here. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I'll just describe it if I can't find the video. Basically, they said, who if the Knicks are in Game 7 or if the Mets are in Game 7, who are you watching? And Mamdani was like, I'm watching the Knicks. And then Cuomo was like, oh, I'll go watch both. And it was just like, what? It was like, what? Like just pick a side. Like, and then Mamdani calls him out. And he's like, this is why people don't trust you. You can't pick a side. You don't have an opinion. Everything you say has to be politically correct. And it was such a good moment for Mamdani because he was just like, bro, like, you really can't say, like, just be a normal guy. Like, would you watch the Knicks or the Mets if you were in Game 7? It's like not that hard to make a decision on this. And Cuomo was like, oh, yeah, I would watch both. I can't decide. And the whole audience started laughing because they were like, what are you talking about? So I think it was just one of those moments that made it feel like, do I have it? Or do I have the clip? I think I have the clip. Yeah, I have the clip. Okay, here it is. It's on Patrick Bet-David. He covered this.
Yeah, play this clip. It's a 37-second clip. Go ahead, Rob.
But the Mets are playing Game 7 of the World Series on the same night as the Knicks are playing Game 7 of the NBA Championship, and you can only go to one. Which one will it be, Mr. Sliwa?
Again, which baseball team?
This is the Mets, Game 7, Knicks, Game 7.
I'm not going to the Mets game. I'm a Yankee fan. True baseball fans either like one or the other. I'm going to the Knicks game. That's my team, the Knicks.
Mr. Cuomo?
I'm going to go half and half. I can make it back and forth.
All right. And Mr. Mamdani?
This is what New Yorkers are sick of. Just pick a team.
What's
Come on.
your answer?
I'd be there for the Knicks.
Okay.
Can you go back to the 5-second? And
I mean, even I saw that, and I'm like, bro, like, this is why you're not that approachable to be like, just objectively, this is why a lot of New Yorkers want to change. Like, he's not personable. Just say which team you would watch. So look, objectively, I think Mamdani's going to win. The polls have him at like 85 to 90%. I don't live in New York. I live close to New York. I don't live in New York. So I'm not voting. I don't have to vote. And I don't know how much New Jersey is going to be affected by it. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some ways we're affected, but this is more so a New York thing more than Jersey. It's New York. They want a straight shooter. Yeah, exactly, dude. They want a straight shooter. Dude, Mamdani did a flagrant with Andrew Schultz, which is a bit of a raunchy comedy podcast. And I thought the podcast went pretty well. I mean, he sounded like a normal human on the podcast, made a lot of jokes, had a lot of fun. At the end of the day, I think he's probably going to win. Chris is in Texas today. He couldn't make it today. He's in New York. Or not New York. He's in Houston. So he couldn't make it for this week. Random Shark, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being here, Amit. Random Shark, thank you for being here as well. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Leon, thank you for the super chat. Which would you hold through earnings, Amazon, Google, or Nvidia? It's a good question. Oh, that's a hard one. I feel like the answer is all three. I just pulled a Cuomo. I said, well, I could hold all three, right? Why not? Like, we don't have to make a decision here. Damn, that's a straight up Cuomo. It's a straight up Cuomo. I feel like I would pick Nvidia. Although I feel like Amazon and Google are going to be fine, dude. I just feel like Nvidia was at 195. Amazon, Google's at all-time highs, so they have to be really good. Nvidia has some room to move up. Amazon, if they have bad AWS numbers, that shit's going down. Like, it's just call a spade a spade. So I'd pick Nvidia. But I would hold all three. Real New Yorkers say Nvidia. Do you think Mamdani's going to F up New York? I have no idea. I don't know if his policy is going to go through. I don't know if any of the policies are going to be successful if they do go through. A lot of the fighting he's going to have to do is with Albany and, upstate New York more than the White House. What if Trump actually stops giving New York a bunch of federal funds? Like, there's so many variables to it. I don't know. But we are going to track it over the next coming years and see if there is any upwards or downwards progress in New York. Richard said, thanks. I just put 5K on Mamdani. I mean, look, the polls show me that he's likely going to win. I don't know if he will, but the polls feel like it's going to be more likely. Dude, the NBA scandal is crazy. The NBA scandal, that shit is insane. Chauncey Billups. There was a coach who got arrested today. And then there was a freaking player, Terrence Rozier, I think, who got arrested after playing last night. A coach got arrested today and a player got arrested today at 6 a.m. in Miami because both of them were caught up in this controversy of gambling and like fixing games and shit. Like, it's actually wild. Here's the update on this for those that didn't hear about this today.
Things that we should take a look at are the illegal gambling and the poker betting that we were just hearing about with Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. What were your takeaways that you just heard?
Yeah, I look back at the Jontay Porter scandal. There was some hope, I think, that this was an isolated incident. It was a two-way player, somebody who hadn't made a lot of money playing in the NBA. Maybe he was vulnerable, but it wasn't, say, a widespread problem. Terry Rozier has made $160 million playing in the NBA. If he's vulnerable to a scandal like this, that raises a lot of questions that I don't think the NBA has good answers for. I think this is probably the most significant gambling scandal the NBA has faced yet. The hope, and I mean, with multiple, between Chauncey Billups, who I guess is in a different with the poker investigation, getting investigated for different things, but between Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones and Terry Rozier, this is much more significant than just a single player like was the case with Jontay Porter. It's the most significant game.
By the way, Chauncey Billups, his shit goes deeper. He's with the mafia. He apparently owed money and was gambling in poker games with the mafia. Like, that's how wild this was. Here's another update on it. But it's like, I just could not believe that an active player and an active coach are that deep into this.
Joining NBA Today, ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky. Aaron, thank you so much for staying with us here on NBA Today. What
here in Manhattan, so they would gamble, so they would play poker. What those people didn't know was that everyone else at the table was in on the scam because the games were rigged. Chauncey Billups was known as a face card because the mafia allegedly used his face to lure in these unsuspecting victims. The victims themselves were called fish, as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York explained in Brooklyn a short while ago.
The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards. The so-called face cards included the defendant Chauncey Billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam. For example, they used off-the-shelf shuffling machines that had been secretly altered in order to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand, and relay that information to an off-site operator.
These rigged poker games have been going on, prosecutors say, since at least 2019, and it involved these altered shuffling decks, X-ray poker tables that could read cards that were face down. There were special glasses and contact lenses that enabled players in on the scam to know what the victims' cards were, and other technology brought to bear. The victim, Shanae, had no chance at winning these games. They lost millions of dollars. And since the mob was involved, prosecutors say if the victims couldn't or wouldn't pay, that's when violence was used to make sure they did.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to get Steve's take on this. The mafia was involved, bro. X-ray, see-through tables. These are supposed to be pretty wealthy basketball players. Like, maybe they're not billionaires, but it's not like they're struggling and they have to, they're not in freaking Rounders trying to pay for law school. You like that movie knowledge, right? You like that movie knowledge. There you go. Your boy knows some stuff about pop culture. It was law school, right? It was law school, right? Was it med school or law school? Was the guy in Rounders paying for law school? It definitely was law school. But that's wild. Yeah, it was law school. It was freaking law school. Thank goodness. But so the fact that they were gambling for that type of money when they probably didn't need to just shows how much greed was involved, right? It shows how much greed was involved. Oh yeah, we got to give Steve some shit for this, bro. If the mafia knew, then Steve knew. If we got to give Steve some shit for this one. We know Steve's an Italian mob boss, bro. That's basically his past life. It's wild, bro. People are so greedy. Like people try to find the easy way to make money so many times, and it usually doesn't work out. It usually doesn't work. I did think the mob was not a thing anymore. I did think the mafia wasn't out there. I guess they still are. And now they're here. Like, bro, like I just even the thought of being at a casino and trying to cheat, like, is it really worth it, bro? Is it really, especially if you get caught? Like, that shit is not a joke. You don't mess around with that stuff. I just feel like it is not worth going through all that. Violence in the Pokemon trading scene, an essay by Stephen Fiorillo. Yeah, there's probably some Pokemon stuff involved in that as well. Siege, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, man. Or $20. You do not have to keep sending these $20. Guys, can we make a pact right now? I'm saying this right now because I really don't want this to happen. Can we please make sure on my birthday, people don't send super chats saying happy birthday? Because really, you don't need to do that. And I know people are going to want to do that. We really don't need to. It is my birthday. I appreciate everyone being there. I should be giving back to you guys. You should not be paying me or giving any super chats on my birthday. Because I don't want to turn it into when we hit 100,000 subscribers and for freaking 3 hours, there was super chat on top of super chat on top of super chat. Like, you don't need to do that. You really don't need to do that. And I know me saying this means people are going to do it more, but I'm saying this with I'm legit trying to be genuine, and I don't want to sit there for 3 hours reading a happy birthday super chat, taking your money just because it's my birthday. Like, we don't need to do that. We can have a fun time on my birthday. We can cover the markets. We can talk. But it doesn't. I didn't think it would be as aggressive as it was on the 100,000 celebration, but it was like I think it was legit 300 super chats. It was a bit insane. And so we really, dude, I'm about to leave early if you guys start doing this shit right now. Shem Pasta, thank you. Spencer, thank you. But like legit, bro, like let's not do that. Like buy some Grab instead. Pump the freaking bags. Let's do that instead. Let's do that instead. Do super chats the day before. Well, it's a Sunday that day. So, oh no, but we do have a future stream. We do have a future stream. Sarth had a super chat. Did you have a super chat, Sarth? What to do in New York? I'm here for vacay. I'm from Singapore. Is this your first time in New York? Is this your first time in New York? All right, who's in New York in the chat? What does Sarth do? I would say you should definitely go to the financial district. You should go to Harry's Steakhouse if you're into steak in the financial district. You should definitely go to Times Square if it's your first time in New York, even though Times Square is overrated, but still. Yeah, first time. Oh, dude, you got to do everything then. If it's your first time, you got to go get pizza, John's on Bleecker Street. You got to go to Brooklyn. You got to go to you got to go to the Brooklyn Bridge. You got to go Times Square. There's, you know, I don't know if I will ever get to this type of wealth in my life, but if I ever have FU money, like real FU money, I would like to own an apartment overlooking Central Park. And we're talking about like real FU money, because that is not an easy task to do. But Central Park to me is one of the most beautiful parts of New York City. And for those that haven't ever seen Central Park, absolutely gorgeous. The view from the top of this place is amazing. And I just love this spot. In fact, one of the first dates I ever went on back in high school was in Central Park. We watched a movie in New York. We went to, damn, the restaurant is still there. I saw it the other day. It's a sushi spot. I think it's near 38th Street. And then we walked around Central Park. This was back in freaking, this was 2014. It was a junior. The junior in high school. Yeah, it was a junior in high school. This was December 20. This is the day after Christmas. It's the day after Christmas back in 2014, December 26th. The movie we watched was some Disney shit. Into the Woods. It was this shit. Do you guys remember this movie? Into the Woods. Yup, it came out. Oh, look at this. It literally came out December 25th, 2014. And we watched it December 26th. I remember this. Your boy wasn't really watching the movie though, if you know what I'm talking about. That was a fun date. That's how I knew it was a real date. Like at first I was like, oh, it's a movie, we want to go. Then I realized if I don't remember what the movie's about, because it was a bit preoccupied during the movie, that it was a real date. So, and then we walked around Central Park and it was gorgeous, dude. We stayed there till like 10 o'clock at night. Like it was great, dude. That was the best part about living in New Jersey growing up, is that you have access to the city. You have access to freaking New York. Like this place is beautiful. And I live like a 30-minute train ride away. Like it's one of the things and now I live basically a 15-minute train ride away, which is so cool in the context of New York. So I would say go to Central Park. What was his name? You guys can keep saying it, but it was like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. But no, it was fun, dude. It was my first I think that was my first real legit date. Like, yeah, it was like my first because that girl ended up being my girlfriend a year later. That was my first real legit date. Was her name Lori? Yeah, it might have been Lori. Michelle, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Happy early birthday, Mid. Buy yourself a mocktail. I will absolutely buy myself a mocktail. Thank you for the $5 super chat. It means a lot. Erman, thank you for the $15. Happy birthday, Mid. Thanks for the daily streams. Miss Lori, or not Miss Lori, No, it's Julia. Julia, your last name has the L-A-W. But thank you for the super chat. $28. Happy early 28th. Means a lot. Thank you. Thank you. And then Peter, thank you for the $50. Happy early birthday, Mid. Buy more BMNR. I bought a little bit when it hit $49.50 last week on Friday. So I bought a little bit. But thank you, sir, for the super chat. Thank you for the happy birthday. Guys, again, please, I really, on my birthday, I don't, on a day where it's your birthday, at least in my culture, you give back. So I really do not want to take people's money. I just want it to be a fun time, and I don't want people to feel compelled that they have to give back or give me a gift because it's my birthday and do it through a super chat. Like, I really do not want that to happen. But I will be doing a giveaway, and we'll do some fun stuff this time for a giveaway. Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Should I give away like $1,000 cash? We have 10 people win $100, or should I buy 2 $500 gadgets and give away 2 of those gadgets? What would be better? Do you do 2 $500 gadgets or freaking or just like the $100 cash? What do we think? Do we give away some gold? Lambo giveaway. We're not at that level yet. Dude, the stock certification is actually a good idea. I would have to get your shipping info, but then I could ship you like the Robinhood one that Tess gave, or the Palantir one. I could ship those out to people, and it would be the same cost. It'd be like $100, $150. That would actually be a cool idea. And you could tell me whatever share you want. You could tell me whatever share you want, and I could. Do you want to do that? Do we want to do that? What's the website? I think it's called giveashare.com. Yeah. Dude, maybe we do this. You're not going to get it for a couple weeks because it's going to take some time. But this would actually be cooler than just cash, right? I feel like this would be. All right, we're going to do this. So if you win, I'll get in contact with you. I'm going to make a new email, by the way. I'm going to make an email that's just for people that want to get in contact. Because right now I have too many distributed sources for like people to contact me, whether it's Twitter or a couple other emails. So I'm going to make one email that's like dedicated to the YouTube channel so that I can actually check and see all the emails. And I'll use that email to communicate with the winners. And then whatever. Okay. Like we'll try to keep the stock at like $100 or lower, because technically there's a lot of shipping fees. So we'll try to, what's a $100 or lower stock that everyone would want? Like, I can't buy everyone a share of Tesla. That's like, everyone get access. I just realized, wait a second, I can't, there has to be some limit on this. Yeah, I think we can ship outside the USA. I think so. Yeah, Berkshire Class A. Oh, wow, Grab. Yeah, why don't I? Iran. Something that's like $50 to $100. SoFi. What about SoFi? That's perfect. We'll do SoFi. Everyone here likes SoFi, right? Okay, I'll pick a list of 10 stocks, and then it'll be those 10 are the options. SoFi, ASTS. I mean, at least anything that's under 100. Grab if you want, but I don't know if I can get multiple. Like, could I get 10 shares of Grab inside one certificate? I don't know. I got to see. I got to see if I can do that. Maybe something like that. If it's under 100, then whatever stock anyone wants, we'll do that route. Check first. You can't get most of those shares. Let's go to the website. Let's look at the website together. So let's see if I want to get 1 share plus stock certificate. Okay. What if like Amcor? Is Amcor there? Yeah, there's no way. What about BMNO? They're not going to have any of those names. What about SoFi? Bro, they don't have SoFi. No. How do you not have SoFi? They don't freaking have SoFi. They have Apple. Bro, Apple's $350. Okay, we're going to have to figure out this idea. This is obviously a little bit more aggressive than I thought. I don't know. We'll figure it out. A lot of these companies are boring though, bro. Like, no one's going to want to share a freaking... Well, maybe now people... But look, Intel costs $84. It's double the price of Intel. Yeah, we might just have to give cash, guys. This might be a little too complicated. All right, we'll just do $100 cash. People can do whatever you want with the cash. That's easier. This is going to be way too complicated shipping all this stuff out, especially if they don't even have the right names. All right, cool. So we'll do the cash, but that's what we got. Cactus, thank you, brother. You definitely do not have to send a super chat. Happy birthday. Give me the 100. Dude, Cactus has been doing great. Cactus has been doing freaking awesome. And I'm very happy we brought him on board. And yeah, I think it's going to help make it a lot more efficient to get this news out every single day. It is nice to have some help. By the way, that person I told you guys that I was thinking of partnering with for the management of the meetups, I think is more likely to happen. We have a meeting in another, a follow-up meeting in a week. And so, yeah, I think that's going to happen. And I'm really excited about that because they have a lot of ideas. They followed up from the previous meeting with the minutes of our conversation. I was like, damn, bro, got some minutes in this, there was dedication, a summary of the conversation, some notes. I'm like, bro, this is what I need in my life. I need some minutes. I need someone who can give me some notes on shit. So yeah, I think that's going to work out. And it should be fun. But that's what we got. Tanner is asking himself the same question on his stock picks. Dude, whenever Tanner started that YouTube portfolio thing, I thought he asked me for my advice. He's like, you think it's a good idea? I was like, yeah, it's a great idea. And then we both realized people are going to send super chats of any freaking stock. And I was like, well, you took one for the team because I'm not doing that shit. I'm not doing that shit anymore. Someone made him buy so much SBET. He's down 60% on this SBET. By the way, Tanner doesn't even get all the money. YouTube takes half of that. And then Tanner has to pay taxes on the other half that he keeps. And that's in Canada. So you're basically giving away 99.999% of every dollar. So basically, Tanner's just willingly giving up his own money for the super chats that he's getting to buy these stocks in this portfolio. And some of these stocks have not done the best. Now, there are others that have done really well, but it's definitely a little hard to manage that whole thing. But we'll still do that giveaway. Yo, Spencer, stop freaking spamming, bro. Can we get a mod to banner? Goodness gracious. Happy birthday. Sorry that you're... Okay, I bet you it's going to say gay next. How many super? 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. All right. She's spending $20 to spam. Yeah, there you go. There's the gay. There it is. There's the gay. Thank you, Spencer. I appreciate it. Ray, Michelle, can you guys use your powers a little bit here? Can you use some of your powers? Dude, 28, huh? That's going to be crazy. I'm not the best at math, but 28 is 2 away from 30. And 30 is wild, bro. 30 is crazy. I know a lot of people here are older than 30, but I'm just saying that idea of 30 years. Dude, look, let me show you. See, let me see. My mom's getting emotional that I'm getting older as well. All right, I told you guys I was going to show you some more pictures. This is what she sent me the other day. So when I was a kid, this is not going to help me beat the allegations. It's not going to help me beat the allegations, but I really loved Barney. Okay, I really loved Barney. So this is your boy in our apartment when I was 3 years old. I was a Barney kid, bro. I like Barney. I freaking like Kill Me. I like Barney. Okay, whatever. I like Barney. To go from that to a full-on guy who could get targeted from Palantir software with my beard. I mean, goodness gracious, bro. This is wild. This is a wild 28 years later. It's crazy. It's a whole different world. A whole freaking different world. I love you. You love me. We're a big happy family, dude. I used to be obsessed with Barney. I used to be obsessed with Snow White. Snow White is what I used to like. My mom had she would pre-record some of these Disney movies. Snow White and the Dwarfs. I used to be obsessed with. Oh, Beauty and the Beast. Oh my god, I was obsessed with that movie when I was little, bro. And then Barney. Those were like the main. I would like watch those over and over. I would watch those two movies over and over and over and over and over again. That's what I was obsessed with. I'm not going to beat the allegation saying this. I'm not going to beat it, but VHS, dude. There was no DVR. It was VHS. I was like on the actual VHS. But to go from that to here today, it's just crazy, bro. It's just freaking crazy, bro. Life is crazy. I was making a thread. I'm going to post this on December 31st, but I was making this thread on Twitter of like the craziest moments of 2025. And I was just like compiling everything from this year. And so far I have the Bloomberg appearance, getting to interview Figure CEO, getting to ask Vlad a question at the Q1 earnings in Palo Alto when I sat with him in like on the couch and I was asking him that question, or those like 7-minute interview. Then we have I met Beju, who was a Robinhood co-founder that same week. Then I interviewed Mike Gallagher. Then we had the Tom Lee interview. Then we asked Vlad the question with the Currently Right Now. Then we had the New York City meetup, the Toronto meetup, the Boston meetup, the Miami meetup. Then we had the Carp interview back at September. Like, it's just been a wild, wild, crazy freaking year. But at the same time, with how crazy the year has been, we hit 100K subs, right? So that's another moment. But with how crazy the year has been, it's like you're getting older as the years are progressing. So you're like reflecting on the years, but you're also just like dealing with the reality of getting older, which I just think is something that, I don't know, now that it's approaching 30 is like, it's hitting me more like deeply versus like when it was like 24, 25, 26. I didn't feel that real. Also, I actually think I have some time to reflect now. The past couple of years has been like just pure grind, zero reflect. Yes, grinder. Yes, you guys can make the jokes, but now it's like been a little bit, settled into your own place. You have some time to just sit back and actually think about shit. 28 is not midlife crisis time. Dude, it basically is. It basically is. Sam says try 40s with kids. Okay, but I feel like when you have the kids, like you've already, look, dude, when you have you've already accomplished so much in life. When you have kids, you've brought life into this world. Like at that point, you've already accepted, okay, you are an older human being that has brought life into this world. You have an obligation to care and nurture that life. Like, I feel like that's a little bit different before you even get to that stage and you're, getting older at the same time. Yeah, when your brain is fully formed. When does a human's brain fully develop? 30. 25 to 30. Google says 25 to 30. Okay, so I need a couple more years. Well, Google says 25 to 30, so yeah, I guess it's 25 for those that are saying that. But it's in that time frame. TJ, bro, we were just talking about you and how Noto finally gave you some love. Finally gave you some love on X after freaking talking about that man's stock and buying his freaking shares for 4 years and selling calls against them. Shout out to Mr. TJ. Please don't cry. No, I'm not going to cry, bro. It's not it's getting older is not really a crying thing or anything like that. It's just more so an acknowledgement internally of just like, oh shit, like it's like, you're getting older. Also, I want to get married. I want to have kids, right? So I'm also thinking of like, okay, 28, like, I don't know, 32, 33. Is that when you kind of like really try to settle down? And then what steps do you take before that? And like, I don't know. It's like there's a lot more things you think about now that you weren't thinking about at 21. At 21, you were just like, how do I fucking go after it? How do I go after it? And I feel like at 28, you're like, okay, I still want to go after it, but I also want to think about the other parts of life. And I think that's important, bro. You got to be holistic, right? You got to have a lot of different perspectives to try to culminate into like what is a worthwhile life in a lot of different areas. And that means you have to take on more responsibility, which is not an easy thing to do, but I do think it's important as you grow older. Ed says getting married is the real long-term investment you need to do a deep dive on. Yeah, that is fair. I do want to get married. I know there's a movement in my generation of not getting married and being single forever and not having kids. Definitely do want those two things. I just don't know how it's gonna turn out. But it's one of those things, right? Like as you get older, you start thinking about also, do you have any regrets in life? Are there, like you start thinking of that shit. And I think it's important to think of it as you get older, because like you don't want to think about this stuff when you're at the end. So you want to cautiously think about it and like try to minimize, as Jeff Bezos would say, the regrets, right? Like if there's a friend that you haven't talked to in a while and you're like, well, I shouldn't have gotten away from that friend. Let me hit them up. Like if they don't respond, then at least you did your part, right? To try to rekindle whatever friendship or something. But I do think it is important as you get older to kind of like gut check that stuff. Dude, I was speaking to one of my friends who got married a couple months ago. So he 2 weeks before he gets married, if he's listening, he'll know who he is. 2 weeks before he gets married, he calls me up. He's like, bro, I'm done with this bitch. I'm not getting married to her. And I listen and I'm like, all right, bro, you got to make your decision, right? A couple days later, he's like, nah, we made up. We're good to go. I'm like, all right, bet. Marriage is on. They get married. 3 days ago, they got married a couple months ago. 3 days ago, he texted me. He's like, I think I told him, I was like, yeah, you got to come through with your girl, see the new apartment, all this stuff. He's like, yeah, about that. I was like, what do you mean about that? He's like, it's a good thing I had a prenup. I'm like, bro, a couple months, bro? A couple months? He said, yeah, bro. He's like, it's a good thing I have a prenup. It's like, damn, at that point, you should have just trusted your intuition a couple weeks before the marriage and been like, this is not going to work. I still have to call him about it, but he was texting me the other day. I was like, damn, bro. Damn. That's wild, right? Because he was so close to not getting married. And then he does. I was going to go to his marriage. It got so busy in August. And it's a good thing I didn't waste my time going to his marriage, bro. That shit didn't work out. That shit didn't work. I was like, what? Like, that is wild, bro. But she doesn't have any of his shares. She's not entitled to any of his stock, which is good. He was, when you get married, you combine your finances. He was thinking of paying off her student loans. And he's like, dude, thank goodness I'm coming to this conclusion. And I didn't even start paying off any of her debt, because that would have sucked. That would have stuck. No, I'm not going to call him, bro. I don't think he wants to talk about it publicly in front of thousands of people. But we're relatively close. I've known him for about 40. We met because of Palantir. We met just as Palantir investors. I mean, I have a lot of friends from 2021, 2022 that I met. Another one of my friends who like, ironically, another one of my friends just asked his girl to marry him. He texted me the engagement ring picture. I met him through Palantir. So it's kind of crazy, but these are things I feel like you think about as you get older as well. Jatinder, thank you for the super chat. Love your show. I highly recommend you read The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. I feel like I've heard about this book, The Road Less Traveled. I will definitely put this on the list. It's a phrase linked to Robert Frost's poem, right? The poem, I think a lot of people know. It feels like it's linked to that. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I genuinely believe in this idea. Like this right here, I genuinely believe in the idea of taking the road less traveled. I really do. I really do. Every decision I made in life where you take the road less traveled, aka the road that most people don't want to take because it's hard, it's difficult, it's unknown. And I also think that is the beauty of youth, right? Because you just go for it and you don't care. Like you think you can take on the world and you really aren't thinking about the implications and the competitive dynamics and what it means to set up a business and be successful. Like, you don't care about any of that shit. You're just like, I'm just going to go for it. And, that's this whole YouTube journey. It's like, I didn't know what I was doing. It was just like, let's just do it. Let's figure it out. Let's use whatever intrinsic skills or talent I have to try to build something, and we'll keep going from there. And then you just end up working. And I think the one thing that's really important when you take the road less traveled, and this is what I was talking to someone the other day who's trying to like build a social media brand. And the most important thing is, if you see a hint of momentum, you try to capture it so deeply. And this is applicable to anything in life. And you don't let it go, because it's so hard to get momentum on anything. Same thing with a stock, right? Like once your stock's narrative changes and you can build on that narrative, and then you can keep putting out more press releases and partnerships, and then you have a good quarter, you get profitable, like then it's off to the races. Then you have the liquidity of the public markets, which is a global ecosystem of cash that needs to be deployed somewhere. And your narrative could end up creating a lot of wealth. And I think it's the same thing in the journey of life. Like once you get a little bit of momentum in whatever you're doing, you just like, you take it so seriously. You don't take it as a joke, and you tell yourself, I will not let this go. And you just never know what it results in. But you also got to do it the right way. You also got to do it in a way that's not like, not in a way that sells out your soul, which is the hardest part to do. Like these freaking NBA players and their gambling nonsense, right? Like you gotta do it in a way that's not gonna give up a lot of your core philosophies. Dude, we got some after hours action. S&P 672, hoodie almost 136, grab 577. Not bad. The sucker was at 568 today. Nvidia's up. Bitfarms is up. Cypher's up. Wow, Bitfarms 18%. Is there something happening after hours? Dude, everything's moving. Futures are green. Trump's not speaking. Nebius is up. SoFi's up. Wow, Nebius. 108. It was at 105 most of the day. Iran's pumping. Yeah, we saw the Jane Street stake in Cypher. I don't know if that's enough to pump everything. It's definitely helping Cypher. Iran back to 58. I don't know. I don't know if there's any wild news, but you do have some green. Quantum stocks are green. Yes, they are green after hours. D-Wave's up. Rigetti, IONQ. You got pretty much everything that's catching a bit. Oh, Jane Street took a stake in Bitfarms too. I mean, again, they kind of have to because they're fulfilling all these orders. But yes, the street will react to that immediately. Yeah, there you go, Bitfarms. Again, the Jane Street is not taking a stake in Bitfarms because they love Bitfarms. They have to own these shares. But it's a great, narrative that people run with. Like, this is not Bridgewater. This is not a money management firm that's making an opinionated choice on how they think of a stock. If you look at everything else Jane Street owns, they own a lot of companies. Same with Vanguard, same with BlackRock. Maybe that's enough, though, to pump the entire data center space. Just people getting excited that you're seeing this happen. And that CPI leaked. Yeah, maybe CPI leaked. Maybe. Record $38 billion debt sale nears for Oracle data centers. Oh, I think that might be it. That's why all the that's actually why the Bitcoin miners are running. That's actually why. Record 38 billion. Wow. Yeah, 2 minutes ago. 38 billion debt sale nears. Wow. Did they actually sell 38 billion worth of corporate bonds? Did they actually sell almost 40 billion of corporate debt? Who the hell bought all their debt? Yeah, that's super bullish. Iran, Nebius, Cypher, CoreWeave, because that signals that if Oracle can get 40 billion of debt financed for, guess what, data centers, then all these other smaller companies that are not as big as Oracle are probably going to catch a bid for data centers. Triple beat. Bro, 40 billion? Holy guacamole, dude. My goodness. Where's Oracle right now? Oracle. Okay, Oracle, little red on this because they're the ones selling the debt. And again, Oracle's already had a massive move. But overall, these other companies. It's wild. AI revolution, baby. AI revolution. The Saudis. I mean, it's probably a consortium of a lot of. They're giving like 6.5% on the CDs, which is better than a money market. So, there's plenty of investors that'd be willing to take that bet with Oracle. It's very possible. VB, thanks for the $10 super chat. Happy birthday. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. John says, make sure to schedule vacations and time with the fam and friends. So thank you for the $5 super chat. Yeah, my cousin's going to be coming over for Thanksgiving. So we'll spend some time with her. My mom wanted to do Europe, but November's, we were thinking of UK in November, but it's just getting way too tight in November to actually plan that. So look, next year when I go for the meetups, I want to bring some of my family and make it an excuse to do a little vacation with them. So, the goal is the UK, Germany, and Singapore for the internationals, hopefully a few others. And then, in the US, we're going to try to do LA. Still haven't done Los Angeles yet. Definitely going to do New York. Try to do Chicago, some of the states that we didn't do last year. But it should be fun. Yo, Dubai. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'll just tell you guys right now. But I got hit up from a conference that's happening in Dubai. And again, I really don't know if it's happening yet. Very preliminary discussion. But they're like, do you want to speak at the conference? I was like, that'd be pretty cool. They want to speak on the rise of retail investing and what it means to build a community and crowdsource due diligence, all this stuff. It's a really big conference in the UAE. I was like, that'd be pretty cool. They're like, we can pay for it. I was like, that'd be even cooler. That'd be even cooler. So I don't know if it's going to happen though. I don't know if it's going to happen because it's not directly the conference. It's someone who works very closely with the conference who, ironically, bro, this guy subscribed to my Substack. Okay. By the way, there's no paywall on my Substack, but some of you guys are freaking crazy and you actually sign up for a paid subscription. And I guess because people just want to show the support, but he signed up for a paid subscription. I recognized the name. I go on Twitter. I'm like, holy shit, I know this guy. He's the CEO of a big ass company. Then I go to the company website. I've been following this company for the past 10 years. I can't say what company it is, but it's a really important company in a very specific niche. And I've been following their Instagram account for the past 10 years. And so I hit him up on Twitter and I'm like, bro, thanks for subscribing to the Substack. Appreciate the support. And yeah, I've been following your journey for the past 10 years. And he was like, bro, I'm thinking of investing in Duolingo. So I had to I had to read this deep dive. And then he was like, by the way, you want to speak at this conference that I'm at? And I'm like, sure, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be fun. So I don't know if it's going to happen because he hasn't got back to me yet, but I might as well just say the name of the conference, bro. There's it's not even official yet. So if it happens, it happens. What is it called? It's called the 1 Billion Follower Summit in Dubai. 1 Billion Follower Summit in Dubai. Again, I have no idea if I'm doing it. If I would, as you guys can see right there, it's going to be January 9th, 10th, and 11th. I want to see I want to see Middle Eastern culture. I've only seen videos of Dubai and I've never actually experienced Like I want to go. I want to get on the top of the Burj Khalifa and shit. I've never done it yet. I want to wear this outfit too, bro. I want to wear this outfit. I want to walk around in that outfit. Will they kill me if I'm not religious and I wear this outfit, or am I allowed to just wear the outfit? It's like, I'm still allowed to like wear the outfit, right? What is it called? You guys know the outfit I'm talking about. The thing, what is it called, bro? I don't know what it's called, but I want to wear that one day. But yeah, this is the conference. Look, 15,000 content creators, 30,000 attendees, 420 speakers. Yeah, what is this guy wearing, bro? What is this thing called? I want to wear this, bro. I really want to wear this. Kundura. Yes, Kundura. Yes, this is it. I want to do that, bro. I feel like, dude, how cool does this shit look, bro? I feel like I don't want to be disrespectful about it, bro. Like I don't want them to like say anything if I wear this. But like, am I even allowed to wear this? But like, I want to wear this, bro. This is so cool. But like, yeah, this is the summit. This is the summit. So I don't know if I'll be there, but if I do, it'll be pretty cool. And so yeah, maybe we see Dubai. Wear a jersey over. Okay, that comment wins today. That comment from Feed the Liberty Tree. That comment wins today. That comment freaking wins today. I wore one riding a camel in Dubai. See, I want to do that. I want to do that. I feel like that would be hilarious. That'd be pretty cool. Oracle, all right, $123.25 billion package will go towards funding a data center in Texas and another $14.7 billion in Wisconsin. Wow, guys, this is legit. We got a legit Oracle corporate debt sale of freaking $40 billion. My goodness, dude. Yeah, Larry Ellison is on a roll. $38 billion. Okay, so Wisconsin and Texas, that is what we're looking at for this debt sale. All right, there you go. There you go. But yeah, maybe we'll see Dubai. If not, we're definitely going to come to Dubai eventually. It would be pretty cool if we can go and, you know, we could do, I don't know if we could do a meetup there, but it would be cool to just see people that are in the region. But it would be fun to go visit. Mitt, please release us. Us Europeans need to go to sleep. How long have we been just yapping? I feel like every Thursday we end up doing, well, we used to, then we started Macro Thursdays and we ended up yapping about the macro. But when Chris doesn't make it, we end up just yapping. Yeah, Bloomberg just reported it. $38 billion. Vantage Data Centers is developing both data centers, which are used by Oracle and OpenAI. Wells Fargo, Goldman, Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corp, BNP Paribas, the France thing, and then Societe Generale have all allocated portions of the financing package after a first round of selecting underwriters. Damn, bro, they got the Europeans, the Americans, the Japanese, and the Saudis in this $40 billion deal. Goodness gracious, bro. This AI shit is real. This AI shit is real. No Chauncey Billups in the deal. I definitely clobbered those names, bro. I definitely said those names wrong. Parabi. Dude, I can't call Steve. Steve's busy. I just told you he was in meetings. But I'll be live with... Okay, I should leave now because I'm going to be live with him anyway at 9:30. So we'll talk on Steve's channel later today. Yeah, so does this mean that the other people are buying off Oracle's debt today and they'll be repaid with interest? Correct. So people are giving Oracle money right now. Oracle's probably... I mean, the last corporate debt sale they did was $13.5 billion at 6.5%. If it's anything similar to that, Oracle will repay them that money with interest. But Oracle's like, dude, let's take on the debt because we're going to make some money off this money. We're going to make way more than 6.5%. Our stock's going to go way higher than 6.5%. So we can pay the 6.5%. And the debt issuers are happy with it because they're getting 6.5%. 40 billion is incredible. Singapore thing in July 26. July 26. Yeah, sometimes debt is good debt. Sometimes debt is good debt. It just depends. That's why when Dave Ramsey is like, oh, if someone gave me $1 billion at 0%, I wouldn't take it. I'm like, this guy is the big financial media like empire. Like if someone gives you $1 billion at 0%, I feel like someone can figure out how to get a little bit more than 0% on $1 billion. And eventually, because you're getting it at 0, as long as you don't absolutely gamble it away, you should be able to get more than 0%. You can literally put it in a money market fund, get 2.5% in a couple of years if rates come down, and then pay back the $1 billion. Like, when I hear this shit from him, it's like, how is this real advice, bro? How is this like legit? Some debt is okay. Yeah, you just can't do the SPY 0 DTEs, but some debt is okay. All right, cool. I got to get out of here. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you for the pre-birthday wishes. We'll have a fun session on Monday next week. I'll get some pictures of the past life. And yeah, I'll show you guys a bunch of different parts of the past 28 years of being alive. Daily recap will be out in a couple hours. I'll be live with Steve at 9:30. And I think that's it. Oracle, 40 billion. There you go. There you go. Data center plays going wild out. Oh, now Oracle's green. There you go. Now Oracle goes green. S&P 672. I mean, this could set up for a decent Friday. You never know because Fridays are Fridays, but this possibly could set up for a decent Friday. I will tell Michelle and Ray to go to the Chicago meetup. Yes. Dude, I think the meetups are going to be, I think 2026, we can take it to the next level because I really feel good about the people I'm working with. And they understand the dynamics of what I'm trying to do. I was very clear with them of how I want to do this. And now I just need more support to make it happen. So I think next year it should be fun. We should all be able to meet in person. All right. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. See you on the daily recap. And then if not on Steve's stream, I will see you guys tomorrow on the Market Open. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. See you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.